Chapter 1935. Su Yin had gone down the mountain. As the saying went, it was better to come at the right time than to come early. They didn't know what to say. Some old experts dug their ears. They had worked for nothing. Thunder Immortal Elder had joined forces with some people to force the Chaos Immortal Elder to close the #1 mountain. He didn't want to give Su Yin a chance to gather. The old monkey and the rest came to support the Chaos Immortal Elder. The two factions were about to fight. But before it started, Su Yin had gone down the mountain. What the F***CK? A young man couldn't hold it in and almost fell to the ground. What was going on? Thunder Immortal Elder. I don't think it has anything to do with you, right? Su Yin's footsteps were light and agile. He did not look like someone with a peerless physical body. Instead, he gave off a feeling of returning to one's natural state. His cold eyes looked at Lei Xianlao. This was the first time Su Yin had seen young Thunder King's father. It had to be said that this old man was exceptionally strong. The lightning robe he wore wasn't simple. The light of destruction sprinkled down, making his thin body look peerless and terrifying. When Su Yin saw that the Monkey King and the Phoenix King had also come, his heart was filled with warmth. There was no need to say it out loud. Su Yin would remember this for life. Also, you and I don't seem to know each other, right? This sentence made Thunder Immortal Elder feel like he was being pricked. There was a fire burning in his heart, causing his aura to be inexplicably terrifying. Although he valued the Tenrai of Beach more, Little Thunder was his son after all. Su Yin killed him and had his head cut off. He died tragically in the Kinkin-Furring battlefield. Shouldn't Su Yin give young Lightning King a way out on account of his relationship with Elder Lei Xian? But he didn't. Even if Little Thunder wasn't his son, to Thunder Immortal Elder, Su Yin didn't know how to behave and wasn't worth nurturing. Thunder Immortal Elder couldn't swallow this anger. A cold light flew out his eyes. It was as cold as purgatory. Normally, Thunder Immortal Elder would directly suppress Su Yin. But now who was this person? How could a peak talent of the #1 mountain be deliberately targeted in front of everyone? Bamboo Moon and the rest felt like they had been entrusted with a heavy burden. Su Yin had finally gone down the mountain. It was just the right time. Hee, is this the so-called equal to the princess? Lei Xianlao suppressed the anger in his heart and said coldly, "It's only been 3 years. I remember that the Empress stayed on the mountain for 10 years, right?" The Phoenix King wanted to know what Su Yin had obtained from the #1 mountain. There were great secrets and secrets on Mount Shanshan. He's very young, beyond my imagination. The old experts of the various clans stared at Su Yin with burning eyes. How powerful was this person's potential? The Tenrai of Beach was the peak talent of the Immortal Cave. Even this person was suppressed. One could imagine how strong the physical body of the true dragon from the human world was. If it weren't for the fact that they were wary of the various forces of the Immortal Clan, the various great sects would fight to bring Su Yin into their sect and give him enormous resources to nurture. Perhaps he would have a chance to step into the Immortal King realm in the future. This little guy has really matured. The members of the Reincarnation tribe looked gloomy. They felt that Su Yin was unfathomable. He was completely different from when he had no one to rely on in the royal city. Su Yin's reputation was too shocking. He dominated the #1 mountain and looked down on the world. He even broke through the ultimate trial and reached the peak. He only went down the mountain after 3 years. Although he didn't take as long as the princess and the others, Su Yin was already peerless and terrifying. He was no longer the unknown small figure from before. The experts of the Xian people looked cold. This person's potential was really unknown now. Killing intent rose and fell in their hearts. I thought the Thunder Immortal Elder was going to compare me with the Tenrai of Beach. I didn't expect him to bring up the princess. Su Yin snorted. What surprise. Su Yin, watch your words. Some people couldn't stand it anymore. Yes, the 5th contestant who had ascended the first mountain stood out and pointed at Su Yin, reprimanding him. What kind of person is Lei Xianlao? Even after meeting him, you still have to bow and greet him. Instead, you speak sarcastically. What does this have to do with you? A cold glint flashed in Su Yan's eyes. He cast a sidelong glance at the tall man who was closing in on him and shouted, "Go away." How arrogant! An extremely turbulent aura burst out. The tall man roared, and his aura changed completely. It was as if he had turned into an innate god, filled with the majestic aura of a strong expert, especially the blood essence in his body. It covered the heaven and earth and was extremely turbulent. The saints shuddered. They didn't dare to look at the man in the eyes. His blood essence was too vigorous and turbulent, as expected of the king of the ancient celestial demon race. Is he the next heavenly demon king? Someone exclaimed. One must know that the heavenly demon king and heavenly saint king were the same level of supreme overlords. They were the strongest war gods in the celestial world. The monkey king's face turned ugly. His race only had one heavenly saint king. But now, the ancient celestial demon race had another peak talent. After all, the ancient celestial demon race had great talents and powerful bodies. There were very few races that could compete with them. Demon Feather was extremely domineering. He stared at Su Yin coldly and said, "Don't think that you can rule the world just because you are the first one to climb the mountain." The Tenrai of Beach was not the peak of Daesong when he climbed the mountain. Just because his body is strong, it doesn't mean that he is invincible. Demon Feather's words were exactly what Lei Xian Lao was thinking. "Since you are questioning me," Su Yin waved his hand and said, "Come, let me see if you are questioning my strength." Many gasped. Was he going to start a war? Ha ha ha! Demon Feather laughed. He didn't believe that a human from a mortal world could have so many secret arts. They were both from the ancient celestial demon race. His body was strong, and he even had some terrifying body arts. How could he be afraid of Su Yin? Of course, the reason why he was targeting Su Yin was mainly because of the Monkey King. After all, the two races have been fighting for a long time. Lei Xian Lao, Demon Feather said with a fanatical tone, "If I can beat Su Yin, can I participate in the great war of celestials and demons?" Of course. Lei Xian Lao was full of respect for Demon Feather. He was naturally full of smiles. Bamboo Moon asked, "You just said that the ranking was set. Why are you saying it's okay now?" Lei Xian Lao said calmly, "If Demon Feather beats Su Yin, it means that Demon Feather is stronger and more powerful. Of course, we can make an exception. Then what if Su Yin wins? Can he participate in the ranking?" Mu Xin was angry. This old thing was too much. Su Yin's eyes were like knives. The ranking was already set. This really surprised him. "What does a little girl like you know?" Lei Xian Lao stared at her and scolded. "Moreover, this battle." Before this person could finish his words, the Phoenix King's killing intent filled the air. His entire person changed completely. With a single thought, he could slaughter millions and millions of lives. Beneath his feet were mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Even the corpses of immortal kings could be seen, his vicious aura boundless. Even the sky was torn apart. A blood-colored world appeared, and an extremely powerful aura was released. Everyone trembled and couldn't help but bow down and worship. What kind of killing intent was this? What kind of belief was this? It was too terrifying. It was extremely powerful and domineering. Even the sky was trembling, and the stars in the sky were crying out. Although Phoenix King wasn't the Phoenix King of the past, who dared to erase his achievements, who dared to blaspheme his dignity. He once killed a dark world celestial king. His mind was like purgatory as he shouted angrily, "Lei Xian Lao, my granddaughter is not someone you can scold." "Little girl?" "Ah." The sky was filled with rage. Lei Xian Lao felt a chill in his heart as he said angrily, "Phoenix King, are you going to use force against me?" "Why not?" Phoenix King took out the Emperor token. This made Lei Xian Lao's face turn black. Back then, Jail King was defeated, so how could he not? He knew that although Lei Xian Lao was stronger than Jail King, he knew what taking out the Emperor token meant. It was the appearance of Emperor Dao laws. First Mountain is a place of peace. You can't use force. Chaos Celestial Elder walked out and gave Lei Xian Lao a way out. He said, "We are all a bunch of old bones. Let's just watch the younger generation fight." Demon God Feather, since you want to challenge Su Yin, then hurry up. Su Yin had already made his move. Did he already set the rankings? This infuriated Su Yin. Monkey King transmitted his voice to tell him not to show mercy. Come over. Su Yin was furious too. He pointed at Demon God Feather. It's you. Don't be arrogant. Demon God Feather roared angrily. His aura instantly surged. Black ripples rushed out of his mouth and nose, containing millions of demon god runes burning fiercely. A terrifying dark tide rose, almost extinguishing the stars in the sky. One could imagine how earth-shattering the power was. Demon God Roar, the primordial demon god clan's greatest ability. Many people were stunned. They didn't expect him to release his peak combat power as soon as he made his move. The sky was filled with demon god tide. As millions of runes burned, millions of demon gods rushed out of the underworld sea and pounced on Su Yin. Su Yin was very direct. He formed a fist seal with his palm and faced the power of the demon god Roar head-on. Kill! Demon God Feather roared. Millions of blurry demon gods blazed. With his roar, the space and time exploded. A large number of experts trembled and flew out. Their hair was disheveled, and their bones were about to fall apart. This power was too abnormal. But on the other hand, Su Yin's fist was still punching forward. Many people exclaimed. His fist seal looked ordinary. What gave Su Yin the confidence to not change his move? He didn't use any great ability. Only Thunder Immortal Elder and the others could see that Su Yin's fist seemed calm, but it contained the principles of heaven and earth. It vaguely became countless times more majestic. The power it released was too shocking. It was as if an emperor's fist was coming. Boom! Just this punch alone destroyed heaven and earth. The demon gods in the sky trembled and exploded into energy ashes. Su Yin's strength was unparalleled. His black hair danced in the wind. The fist he swung was as terrifying as a cosmic star. The scene that appeared in Demon God Feather's eyes was cruel. He saw a Daesong fist suppressing the demon gods and becoming the only god of war in the world. Kill! Su Yin let out a loud roar. Heaven and earth were shaken apart. The demon god Feather was forced back. The hard ground was cracked. It was obvious how strong the impact was. What? The surroundings were in an uproar. Demon God Feather was directly pushed back. Many people were also excited. This was the heaven's equal Saint King who dominated the first mountain. He was too powerful. Was his body invincible? Demon God Feather, an expert of the primordial demon race, walked out with a gloomy face. What are you waiting for? This concerned the race's reputation. Even if Demon God Feather couldn't defeat Su Yin, he had to fight for tens of thousands of rounds. You asked him if he can still do it? Su Yin stood with his hands behind his back. His long black hair draped over his shoulders. He turned into a demon god who illuminated heaven and earth, looking down at the vast universe. Su Yin, don't be too arrogant. Come fight me if you die. I'll beat you up. Demon God Feather's veins were bulging. He was ashamed and angry. He swore to suppress Su Yin even if he had to risk his life. He endured his injuries and let out a low roar. He erupted with an even more intense and vast aura of vitality. He wanted to kill his way out and fight Su Yin. But the stronger he channeled, the greater the burden on his body. The pain and suffocation made him want to vomit. In the end, he couldn't hold it in. He felt dizzy and fell to the ground with a plop, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. He didn't know where his injuries were. He only felt that his entire body was about to disintegrate. It was too painful. It was as if he had suffered a fatal blow. His whole body was covered in cracks. Chapter 1936. Demonic Feather. The expert from the primordial Godfiend clan were shocked when they saw the young Overlord's body crack open. Blood gushed out and dyed the ground red. Many people were stunned. What was going on? Was he seriously injured with one punch? Some people looked at Su Yin with completely different expressions. This was Su Yin, the Overlord of the First Mountain. Indeed, the ranking was real. The gap was huge. Elder Lei Xian's face was ugly. What was going on? He couldn't even take one punch. He felt his face burning. This was a slap to his face. But does reaching the First Mountain make one a peerless genius? Someone was stunned, feeling that this scene was too fake. Otherwise, demonic feather spent too much time. Someone shook his head and whispered, "Only those who reached it in the first 3 months are qualified. Apart from Su Yin, the Tenrai of Beach, the barbarian god, demonic feather, and Tai Baokai can't be considered qualified." After all, demonic feather spent the shortest amount of time. He thought that Su Yin only had a superb physical body and didn't have a series of peak foundations. Who knew that he would be at a disadvantage because he underestimated his opponent and couldn't even get up now. "Su Yin, you're too heavy-handed. You should stop when you're in the same generation." Xing Pengze of the Starry Sky Emperor clan stepped out. Su Yin had seen this fake immortal king before. He even wanted to occupy the capital and kill him. "Ridiculous. He provoked me first," Su Yin said sarcastically. "I thought he was a powerful expert. Who knew he's so useless?" Xing Pengze's eyes flashed with coldness. This brat's sharpness was too strong. He was a fake immortal king. Demonic Feather was almost driven crazy by these words, but this caused his injuries to worsen. The experts of the primordial Godfiend clan also lost face. They would only be pointed at by others if they stayed here, so they simply left with Demonic Feather. "Seems like you've obtained the inheritance of the first mountain," Xing Pengze suddenly asked. Many people were shocked. Was there really an inheritance on the first mountain? They all wanted to know immediately. If Su Yin really did obtain it, it would be a huge event that would shake the immortal world. "It's none of your business." Su Yin's lips curled up in a cold smile. This caused Xing Pengze's expression to turn even colder as he said, "Su Yin, I'm asking you a serious question. The first mountain is a precious treasure of the immortal world. You should be clear about this. Even if you can't obtain it, it doesn't mean that others can't either. You can't hide it for selfish reasons. If we can uncover the secrets of the first mountain, it will be a blessing for the entire immortal world." Muexin was furious. This person was too detestable. What did what Su Yin obtained have to do with them? He actually brought up the immortal realm. "I've heard that the Starry Sky Monarch race's Thousand-Star Fist is the strongest monarch horoscope of the Starry Sky Monarch race. This junior would also like to observe it." Su Yin asked, "I wonder if it's possible to share with the world? Cultivate and increase the overall strength of the immortal realm." The people around him were completely silent. Some people felt that this person was most likely a lunatic. How could he say such a thing? Some people sneered secretly. The Starry Sky Monarch race was too impatient. However, how could the current Su Yin be so easily bullied? The combat strength that he displayed just now was enough to prove that Su Yin was a pinnacle talent. "Su Yin, you're too unruly. No matter what, Xing Pengze is still a quasi-immortal king." The Thunder Immortal Elder reprimanded. "The first mountain is a treasure shared by the immortal world. He didn't force you to hand over what you obtained just now. He just wants to clarify some things. Why do you have to hide such things?" Thunder Immortal Elder. Su Yin glanced sideways and asked, "Didn't you say that I'm like the Empress? Since the Empress has stayed on the first mountain for 10 whole years, and I've only been here for 3 years, why don't you ask the Empress? Instead, you ask me." "Junior, you're so rude and unreasonable." The Thunder Immortal Elder's face was ashen. If it weren't for the Chaos Immortal Elders and the others, he would have directly suppressed Su Yin and searched his primordial spirit's memories. There was a lot of discussion around. The Empress definitely knew more than Su Yin. Why didn't he ask her? Tianyong Bing smiled bitterly. The Empress didn't obtain anything, and a part of her memory was cut off. The Thunder Immortal Elder and the others knew about this. "How is it that I'm being unreasonable?" "Thunder Immortal Elder, you're making things difficult for me." Su Yin smiled coldly and said, "Even if I really obtained something on the mountain, why should I tell you? You're too presumptuous. Su Yin, you're too selfish. You're not worthy of being nurtured by the Immortal Cave." The Thunder Immortal Elder finally used his trump card to force Su Yin to lower his head and explain the matter clearly. This was because he could vaguely see that Su Yin's physical body had reached a very shocking level. Back then, the Empress and the others had also explored the first mountain. Although they didn't obtain anything, Their physical body attainments had soared to a whole new level after leaving the mountain. Could it be that Su Yin had also obtained a similar opportunity? One had to understand that the path of body cultivation was about to be cut off in the immortal world. Right now, very few people attempted to walk the path of body cultivation. Even if the immortal cave had a group of peak talents, it was still very difficult to cross over. Sorry, I really don't have any interest in the immortal cave. Su Yin walked up to the primal chaos immortal elder's side and said respectfully, Senior, does this junior have the qualifications to participate in the great battle of immortal and devil? Whether you participate or not is really hard to say. The Thunder Immortal Elder was furious. The people in the surroundings were also alarmed. Su Yin really didn't prepare to enter the immortal cave to further his studies. Did he know what kind of opportunity he was missing? Some people wanted to fight for justice for Su Yin. He was already so strong. Could it be that he couldn't participate? Thunder Immortal Elder. The Monkey King's temper was explosive. He said coldly and angrily, even though you are the third Immortal Elder of Immortal Academy, Immortal Academy has already issued a document. Right now, Su Yin has already left the mountain. It's just like you said just now, a demonic feather can break the rules, but Su Yin can't. This matter needs to be discussed at length. The Thunder Immortal Elder said coldly. This made the old monkey extremely angry. The fire was already burning his eyebrows, yet he was still acting like a bureaucrat. The Phoenix King couldn't be bothered to see the Thunder Immortal Elder continue to put on airs. He just wanted to see Su Yin admit defeat and bow before him. This was the Thunder Immortal Elder's style. He always felt that this bloodline was half the master of the Immortal Cave. However, in this world, how could there be so many soft bones? Heavenly Monkey King, calm down. I will propose to Immortal Academy to reselect the participants. There is still plenty of time before the great battle of Immortal and Devil begins, so there's no need to rush. The Phoenix King was the Tao protector of King City, so he had the qualifications to reconvene the meeting. You are right. The Heavenly Monkey King's words were like a great bell. If Su Yin doesn't have the qualifications to participate in the great battle of Immortal and Devil, I think the Tenrai of Beach and the others should all stand to the side. The Thunder Immortal Elder's expression was cold. He didn't expect the old monkey to help Su Yin. Moreover, there were also the Savage Race, Heaven Race, and Chaos Immortal Elders. What was also depressing was that Su Yin would leave the mountain before the first mountain closed. The Thunder Immortal Elder's heart was hazy. In the past, those who left the mountain after the trial all stayed on the mountain for 10 years. Then why was Su Yin an exception, leaving after 3 years? Oh right, Chaos Immortal Elder. The Phoenix King asked with a smile. Su Yin isn't going to Immortal Cave. Does he have 1,000,000 points? This opportunity made the Xian people anxious. 1,000,000 points. Could it be that they were going to fall into Su Yan's hands? This was the strongest reward, and it was also targeted at the first place. As for the Tenrai of Beach and the others, they didn't even get 1,000,000 points, only 300,000. The Immortal Elder won't force anyone to join the Immortal Cave. Su Yan's 1,000,000 points won't be a small amount. The Thunder Immortal Elder looked at Su Yin and continued, although you don't want to become a disciple of the Immortal Cave, the Immortal Demon War is about to start. You are qualified to cultivate in any resource area in the Immortal Cave. You can be treated as the strongest seed for a period of time. Thank you, Chaos Immortal Elder. Su Yin laughed and thanked him. The Xian people were furious. Their eyes were like red lanterns. What did the Chaos Immortal Elder mean? Didn't he see that the Thunder Immortal Elder was so angry that his nose was almost crooked? He was about to explode and kill. For the Thunder Immortal Elder, even if the Chaos Immortal Elder really wanted to give him the points, shouldn't he greet him first? He was still alive and standing here. He wasn't dead yet. In fact, the reason why the Chaos Immortal Elder gave Su Yin the green light was because of the Phoenix King's sworn brother. Moreover, this was the treatment that Su Yin deserved. They wouldn't dare to say anything. The Xian people had already expressed their support for the Thunder Immortal Elder. They definitely wouldn't stand out now. Otherwise, they would really anger the Chaos Immortal Elder. All right, it's time for the first mountain to close. The Chaos Immortal Elder's body soared to the top of the sky. He released a powerful primordial spirit wave to chase away the cultivators who were still trying to break through. The world was filled with whales. 3 years had passed. 99% of them didn't have the right to become a disciple of the Immortal Cave's outer region. Let's go. The Phoenix King and the others also set off. The Imperial City was huge. It was far beyond Su Yan's imagination. It was 100 times more majestic than the royal city. Bao Kai was dumbfounded. How majestic was this city? It was a magnificent city. All the saints seemed insignificant before the Imperial City. They were like ants looking up at the sky. Moreover, the entire city was shrouded in boundless pressure. It was vast and boundless, and even someone as powerful as Su Yan felt reverence in his heart. This city was too extraordinary. Even immortal kings didn't dare to underestimate it. Celestial bodies, huge mountains, human-shaped imprints. On the ancient city walls, there were stars in the universe and huge mountains. There were also human-shaped imprints. They were faintly rippling with supreme emperor aura. No wonder it was called the Imperial City. It was because there were endless Emperor Dao laws. He stood outside the 10 great battlefields. Once the 10 great battlefields were destroyed, the Imperial City would become the strongest protection of the immortal world. What's the stone tablet? In the direction of the majestic Imperial City, there was a huge stone tablet erected. There were some words on the stone tablet. No one knew when they were left behind. They were already extremely dim. The Imperial Bestowment Stone Tablet. The Phoenix King's words were shocking. Bao Kai and the others were shocked. Imperial Bestowment in one battle? Su Yan's eyes shone brightly as he looked at the stone tablet that towered into the sky. That's right. Barbarian Long Tian of the ancient barbarian tribe said in an old voice. A young war god of my tribe opened the Imperial Bestowment battlefield. He lasted for 3 days and 3 nights and failed. It's already very extraordinary. The Phoenix King sighed. The most amazing existence in history only lasted for 7 days and 7 nights. Barbarian Long Tian shook his head. He knew that the young emperor of the Xian people had lasted for 7 days and 7 nights. However, the people of the world had given face to the Xian people and the young emperor. There weren't any extraordinary Emperor Dao geniuses participating. Of course, the young emperor's strength was undeniable. It could only be said that it was too difficult to become an imperial bestowment in one battle. Back then, the young war god of the ancient barbarian tribe had returned from the first mountain. After many years of silence, he opened the imperial bestowment battlefield in one battle. He fought for 3 days and 3 nights and ended in failure. He had said that perhaps in the future, there would be a powerhouse who could rule the world. How long can one last to become an imperial bestowment battlefield in one battle? Mu Xian was curious. 9 days and 9 nights. Barbarian God scratched his head and muttered, 9 days and 9 nights, fighting all the emperors of the immortal world. One can become an imperial bestowment battlefield in one battle. Bao Kai was dumbfounded. This was a challenge that was impossible to complete. Even the unrivaled war god who dominated the world had a chance. Challenging all the emperors of the immortal world. Who set this ridiculous condition? Is there a limit? Mu Xian asked. At most 100,000 people. Mu Xian curled her lips. Not to mention 100,000 people, with 10,000 emperors resonating with god power. Who could handle it? At that moment, Elder Lei Xian and the others were returning to the Imperial City. When they bumped into Su Yan and the others, their expressions turned cold. He noticed that a bunch of youngsters were looking at the stone tablet. He shook his head and laughed coldly. A bunch of lower world phoenixes wanted to become an imperial bestowment battlefield in one battle. Chapter 1937. Becoming an emperor after a battle in Emperor City, bestowing the title of emperor. This was the highest honor and recognition for the younger generation. But similarly, after a long time had passed, no one in Celestial World had ever completed the test of becoming an emperor. Thus, this was only a myth, a legend. As time passed, no one dared to enter the monarch battlefield again. Su Yin, I need to make a trip back to my family. When I return, I will have a good exchange of pointers with you. Barbarian God's body was extremely tall and sturdy. Compared to when he explored the ultimate land of refinement, his improvement was not small. Even though he failed in the end, his gains were great. He prepared to return to his family to further his studies. Su Yin sent him off, at the same time giving him his blessings. Phoenix King, Heavenly Monkey King, I will take my leave first. I will wait for your good news. Barbarian Dragon Sky was filled with anticipation. His family had already decided to open the ancestral land and let the new barbarian god explore it. Before leaving, he patted Su Yan's shoulder with his thick and heavy hand. He thought highly of this person. Once he participated in the great battle of immortals and demons, he would definitely be one of the main members. Emperor City was the #1 city in Celestial World. This city had a super realm crossing formation that allowed one to travel between different places in a short period of time. So this is Emperor City. The energy here is too rich, even richer than King City. Bao Kai was extremely shocked. The huge city was grand, belonging to the core region of Celestial World. The heaven and earth energy was so rich that it almost couldn't be dispersed. Under normal circumstances, entering Emperor City would require strict inspection, but Phoenix King and the Old Monkey were both mighty and matchless experts, so they could be said to be unimpeded. If there is no super powerful heaven and earth energy, how can it support so many celestial kings? The Old Monkey said softly. There were many celestial kings in Emperor City. Moreover, the Celestial Cave was also within Emperor City. Thus, without a super powerful environment, there was no way to maintain Emperor City's operation. For celestial kings, even ordinary ancient realms couldn't satisfy their daily cultivation. The amount of energy released every day was shocking. Thus, below Emperor City, there were dragon veins one after another, releasing vast energy essence all day long. The 10 great battlefields are in front of Emperor City. I haven't seen East Demon in a long time. I wonder if he is doing well. First Mountain also didn't come to participate. Walking on the huge street that stretched as far as the eye could see, the cultivators along the way were all emperors, entitled emperors. Very clearly, this was the true core of the celestial world. It was bustling and prosperous, a place where experts gathered. Within this city, even the members of the emperor clans had to exercise restraint, or else they might provoke old monsters if they weren't careful. To immortal kings, they had a long lifespan. Even the peak taboo overlords were extremely powerful. No matter how powerful Su Yin and the others were, they were still nothing in the face of taboo overlords. Bamboo Moon was a little envious. When did the mysterious yellow universe reach such a level? Soon, she sighed faintly in her heart. The ancient celestial court was at its strongest. She believed that it was not inferior to the imperial city. The former prosperity and glory would require Su Yan's generation to fight for it. Only by becoming a pillar in the future would they be able to lead the race to a new height. Bao Kai and the others were very silent. They had witnessed the glory of the imperial city, the peak of the celestial world. It would be a lie to say that they were not envious. But at the same time, their hearts were filled with desire and fighting spirit. Even if they were envious of the imperial city, they would not submit. They believed that the mysterious yellow universe could also become a giant like the celestial world in the future. No matter what realm they stood in the future, the mysterious yellow universe was their root. Su Yin, what did you get on a mountain? The Phoenix King couldn't help but ask. These years, Mu Xian had changed too much. He was greatly shocked after personally inspecting her. Mu Xian was about to surpass the children he was proud of. The old monkey's expression was dignified. It emitted a powerful pressure that covered heaven and earth to prevent others from eavesdropping. Baocai's expression was strange. They were too careful and cautious. But when he thought about how this was the imperial city, he felt relieved. After all, there were many terrifying old monsters in this city. The monsters were hibernating. This was related to the fortune of the first mountain, so they couldn't be careless. Fortune, unknown inheritance, too great of an origin. I feel that the waters are deeper than the Emperor clans. Suyin didn't hide anything. He spent 3 years to break through the test and become a nominal disciple of the World Mountain. The old monkey and the Phoenix King looked at each other. Shock flashed in their eyes. This news was a bit shocking. Someone as powerful as Suyin was just a nominal disciple. Even the inheritance he obtained was something that people like the Empress failed to obtain. What kind of problem did this mean? The Phoenix King and the old monkey became more and more serious. This matter couldn't be leaked out. Otherwise, it would be a disaster for Suyin. Even if Suyin was born in the Emperor clans, it would be difficult to keep this a secret. One had to know that the Empress and the others stayed on the mountain for 10 years before coming down. This caused a huge storm. All the Emperor clans gathered in the Celestial clan, wanting to thoroughly understand what she obtained. Wasn't the Celestial clan terrifying and glorious enough? But once it was related to the top secret realm of the Celestial world, the Emperor clans couldn't sit still at all. Inheritance, heaven-splitting lineage. The Phoenix King was moved. Could it be that the inheritance of the first mountain could be traced back to the origin of the Celestial world? Suyin, is it very difficult to use the absolute art? The old monkey was more concerned about when Suyin would become an inheritance disciple. This way, they could also understand the origins of the World Mountain. Suyin was silent for a while. He shook his head and said, "It's not easy. With Daesong's realm, there's almost no hope of using it. Maybe the Emperor Dao domain can be used. This secret inheritance involves the supreme mysteries of the human body. This junior really doesn't know. The inheritance of the body cultivator lineage is almost gone. It's declining more and more." The old monkey sighed. "All right, we won't ask any more questions. This matter must be kept a secret, and not a single word can be leaked. Go to the cave of the immortals. Suyin, you must make good use of your 1,000,000 points. In the next period of time, you must prepare for everything. The great immortal demon war is about to begin." The Phoenix King and the old monkey's mood became lively. Suyin might really have hope. He could win 3 out of 3 battles in the immortal demon battlefield. At that time, he could open the strongest place of fortune in the Emperor's city and walk on the shortcut to Immortal King realm. Before they left, Suyin handed them 2 sealed jade bottles and left. He was also looking forward to what he could exchange for with 1,000,000 points. As for the Baokai, it was already very excited. It had asked some people in the Immortal Cave before. Not to mention 1,000,000 points, 100,000 points was already a huge amount. "What's this?" The old monkey was shocked. The moment it opened the jade bottle, it felt as if the universe sea was gushing out. This made its expression change. It was as if it saw the condensed universe of the immortal world flowing in the jade bottle. The Phoenix King smiled bitterly. This group of children is really thoughtful. Both it and the old monkey needed this item. The universe treasure liquid could nourish the declining chi and blood, allowing the Monkey King to return to his peak. For the Phoenix King, it could completely heal his injuries. There is also a great hope of recovering the lost fruit of Tao. Monkey King, do you think this is the lost Stone King of the reincarnation tribe? The Phoenix King suddenly asked. Don't make wild guesses. Let's go. The old monkey was a little speechless. It was hard to imagine that the fall of the Celestial Tyrant Emperor had anything to do with Suyin. The fall of the Celestial Tyrant Emperor had a great impact on the upper echelons of the immortal world. On the contrary, the impact on the mainstays was not that great. Without becoming an immortal king, one would never know how strong an emperor was, especially when the Celestial Tyrant Emperor was the previous emperor of the reincarnation tribe. This is the Immortal Cave. They walked in the Imperial City for a whole day and only crossed 3 streets. So how big was the Imperial City? Some people said that even an immortal king would find it difficult to cross the entire Imperial City in a short time. This city was a little too big. The streets where the Immortal Cave was located were sparsely populated. Suyin looked up at the sky and opened his heavenly eye. Looking into the distance, what came into view was a universe black hole with no end. The black hole was too big. This was the only way to the immortal cave. There were a series of experts patrolling and guarding, each of them the strongest of experts. Su Yin walked forward and took out the token given to him by the Chaos Immortal Elder. This was the symbol of his identity. You're the equal of Heaven's Sage King, Su Yin. The group of guards' expressions changed drastically as they stared at him without blinking. Who didn't know that the Overlord of the First Mountain was the equal of Heaven's Sage King from the human world? Fellow Taoists, I'm Su Yin. I'm one of the Immortal Cave. Su Yin nodded slightly, causing the guards to be extremely shocked. Su Yin was the sole champion of the First Mountain. Even the powerful Tenrai of Beach was suppressed. He could directly become the peerless genius of the Immortal Cave. Please. The group of guards had solemn expressions as they worked together to open a passage. The black hole that could devour all life in the universe changed. Vast laws of order rose, so grand that it could swallow the heavens and the ages. Cave within a cave, Su Yin whispered. Even someone as powerful as him couldn't see how the cave within a cave was built. The darkness in the sky changed, and a corner of mountains and rivers gradually appeared, majestic and magnificent. The Immortal Cave was above the Imperial City. It seemed to be located at the peak of the immortal world. The stars moved, and time and space disappeared. In a short time, they seemed to have crossed the boundless starry sky and traveled to the end of the immortal world. Su Yin was surprised. The Immortal Cave was indeed the Immortal Cave. Just the way it was built was intertwined with Emperor Tao laws. Moreover, during the process of entering the Immortal Cave, at least a few dozen terrifying divine consciousnesses were probing Su Yin and the others. So careful. Did someone sneak into the Immortal Cave before? Bao Kai was shocked. Fortunately, Big Goldie was hiding in the furnace of suppression. Moreover, Mu Xian was the descendant of the Phoenix King. She was qualified to enter the Immortal Cave. Even if she wanted to cultivate in the Immortal Cave for a period of time, she was qualified. The brilliant light of the great Tao filled the sky. Su Yan's aura was sacred and dignified as he bathed in the light of the great Tao of heaven and earth. The moment he stepped into the Immortal Cave, he felt as if he had fallen into the immemorial immortal ground. The aura that rushed at him was so majestic that it covered his body and mind. The rivers and mountains here were too magnificent. Clouds rose between the mountains, and the terrain connected to each other. They were all places with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. It gave off a spiritual pressure. Without a doubt, cultivating and furthering one's studies here could broaden one's mind for a short period of time. No wonder Xian Jing and the others were so arrogant. Living in the Immortal Cave for a period of time could really change one's mentality. Moreover, this was only the outer region. Su Yan, look, which one is the equal Heaven's Sage King? What? Didn't they say he went to the First Mountain's ultimate training ground and died there? I don't know. He actually came down the mountain alive. Is he going to become the strongest seed of the Immortal Cave? What kind of joke is this? No matter how strong the geniuses of the mortal world are, they can't invite a wolf into their house and let him learn our Immortal Cave's supreme inherited secret arts. Someone immediately retorted. Then he noticed Bamboo Moon and the other stunning beauties. His eyes immediately became hot. He lowered his voice and said, "These beauties from the lower realm are not bad. If I were the master of the Immortal Cave, I would directly drive Su Yin and the others out and let the women stay." Some people agreed with his words, expressing their agreement with his opinion. Right now, Su Yan's reputation was too great. Now that he had just arrived at the Immortal Cave, he immediately caused a huge commotion. A large number of elites from the Immortal Cave rushed over. However, there were also people who sneered inwardly. For someone from the lower realm, no matter how powerful his talent was, they couldn't let him enjoy the treatment of being the strongest seed. Otherwise, wouldn't the Immortal Cave's supreme inheritance fall into the hands of the mortal world? Chapter 1938. The Overlord of the First Mountain, Su Yin, had arrived. The outer regions of the Immortal's Cave were in an uproar. Large groups of Ingjie from various races rushed over. None of them were weak and had outstanding achievements in their respective fields. Otherwise, how could they have the qualifications to come to the Immortals' Cave? Even the powerful existences in the core region rushed over. Each of them possessed divine might and heaven-defying methods. They stared at Su Yin with dissatisfaction and hostility in their hearts. The first mountain of the immortal world was the strongest gathering of the younger generation of the immortal world. Geniuses from all over the world gathered to challenge the mountain and reach the pinnacle. A young man from the lower realm actually emitted such brilliance and trampled on the Tenrai beach. This caused many core seeds of the Immortals' Cave to be dissatisfied and angry. They felt that this was a blasphemy to the immortal world's reputation. Su Yan's expression was calm. Many people were staring at him with intense hostility. He was not surprised. Before he came, the old monkey had told Su Yin that in the Immortals' Cave, whoever had the hardest fist was the king. He had always acted by the principle of not offending others if they did not offend him. However, if the overlords of the Immortals' Cave challenged him, Su Yin would not avoid the battle. Seems like there will be a big battle. Let's see how many people don't believe me. Bao Kai snorted. Some people nearby were eyeing them covetously, but their auras were not weak. This group of people was about to make a move on them. Wait a moment. A genius with considerable prestige in the core region raised his hand and said in a low voice, "This kid climbed to the top of the first mountain and cannot be underestimated. I have already invited the Tiangang King." You were actually invited by the Tiangang King. Haha, this is going to be a good show. This kid's brilliance is too great. Let him know that in the immortal world, even a powerful dragon has to lie down. They were greatly shaken. The Tiangang King was very famous in the Immortals' Cave. He had even climbed to the top of the first mountain before. This person's physical strength was said to be not inferior to the Sky Force King. It had to be said that the Immortal Cave was a place of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Many Ingjie with brilliant battle records were hibernating in the core area. Every one of them was a legend. Su Yin, Bao Kai, Bamboo Moon, Zixia, Mu Exit. At this time, a stunning woman floated over. Her temperament was pure and holy. Her snow-white dress fluttered in the wind, and a stunning smile bloomed on her beautiful face. The Saintess Taishang had arrived. She walked gracefully, and her skin was snow-white and slender. She was very elegant and peerless. As soon as she appeared, she caused quite a commotion. She was a seed who had just joined the outer region of the Immortals' Cave. The Grand Saintess was as beautiful as a fairy. She was known as the most beautiful woman in the undying heavenly domain. When she first arrived at the Cave of the Immortal, she was named as one of the 10 beauties of the Cave of the Immortal. She had many suitors. Moreover, she had the innate Tao body. Her future was limitless. What's the situation? Some people's faces turned ugly. The Saintess Taishang was too enthusiastic. They had never been welcomed like this before, and it was inevitable that they were unhappy. Of course, these people didn't know that the Saintess Taishang and Su Yin came from the mortal world. They all thought that she was a saintess of the immortal Tao. The saintess' popularity is really explosive. Su Yin teased. Seems like you have countless suitors. Aren't you afraid that we will be killed by the jealous gazes? Indeed, some people were so jealous that their eyes turned red. The 4 beauties around Su Yin were all outstanding women. This made them feel very unbalanced. Wasn't it just entering the first mountain? What was so great about it? The Saintess Taishang rolled her eyes at Su Yin. Old friends meeting here, Bamboo Moon and the others were very happy. They wanted to find a place to talk about their experiences over the years. You're Su Yin? At this time, an old man with a strange expression walked over and sized him up. Without waiting for him to speak, he threw him a token and left in a hurry. It was as if he was avoiding a god of plague. The purple gold token was densely covered with ancient patterns. The words, "temporary residence," were inscribed on it. The people around were dumbfounded. What was going on? The Saintess Taishang's face fell. How is it temporary residence? Su Yin dominated the first mountain. He should be given the strongest seed token. Aha, I knew it. The Immortals' Cave can't nurture a lower realm expert. Su Yin only has the authority to stay in the immortal's cave temporarily. He can't enjoy the treatment of the strongest seed. Someone burst into laughter and said from afar, I say, you're not from the immortal world. There's really no need for you to stay in the immortal's cave. I think you should go back to where you came from. Su Yan's eyes flashed coldly. He said indifferently, wait until you understand the situation before you mock me here. The situation is not set in stone. The person who spoke snorted coldly. He was not afraid of Su Yan at all. Su Yan didn't even go when the immortal's cave invited him back then. Don't you know? Bao Kai was furious. It was the same as Su Yan. They were both temporary residents. The person who spoke was suddenly speechless. He couldn't believe it. Was Su Yan willing to refuse the strongest seed status? He should know what it meant to be the strongest seed in the immortal's cave. It was equivalent to reaching the sky in a single step. Who do you think you are? How can the immortal's cave refuse? All of a sudden, the scene between heaven and earth changed drastically. It was as if a big yellow bell was rumbling. The pressure made the hearts of the people tremble. This was an extremely shocking power of the great path flowing, bombarding the order of heaven and earth. Some people thought that a peerless emperor had arrived. The aura of the great path spread and covered the heaven and earth. A purple-haired man with a cold expression walked over step by step. With every step he took, a golden lotus of the great path bloomed in the void. The moment it swayed, the firmament vaguely seemed to be torn apart. It's the Tiandao King. The rumors are true. The Tiandao King's Dao technique is equivalent to that of an emperor. The hearts of the people trembled. No wonder his Dao technique was so extraordinary. This was the peerless genius of the Immortal's Cave. He had once won the great war of the immortals and demons. His divine power was naturally peerless. Legend had it that Daesong's Dao technique could suppress the emperor's Dao technique. It had to be said that this person was powerful and peerless. The aura he emitted made the atmosphere here extremely oppressive. One had to know that this time, the Tiandao King was selected as one of the top 10 participants. What does what I do have to do with you? Su Yan replied, as expected of a powerhouse who ascended the first mountain. You have guts. The Tiandao King strolled through the void and arrived at this area. His long purple hair draped over his shoulders. His expression was cold. His calm voice contained a terrifying power that filled every inch of the void. It was like bolts of lightning that struck people's hearts. Many people found it difficult to bear and were paralyzed on the ground. The pressure of the Great Path was too shocking. It could easily suppress the environment and had an invincible demeanor. You can give it a try. Su Yan was unaffected. His body was tall and straight, and his black robes fluttered. However, the faintly discernible ferocious aura in his body made the area tremble even more violently. There was a faint feeling that a huge explosion was about to happen. Many people were speechless. Was a battle about to begin? Some people felt that Su Yan's edge was too bright and that he should be suppressed. The Tiandao King was an invincible figure among his peers. His Dao technique was profound and unfathomable. He could suppress those with powerful physical bodies. Senior brother, the heavenly saintess spoke bitterly. The Tiandao King was the #1 immortal and her senior brother. However, Su Yan was her good friend. She really didn't want any conflict between the two. Moreover, the Tiandao King really had invincible combat strength. He had an innate Dao physique and boundless magical power. He was the most dazzling and glorious war god in the Immortal's Cave. Su Yan, the Immortal's Cave is the most glorious and glorious place in the immortal world. Don't think that you are invincible just because you ascended the first mountain. You can walk the path of an immortal king. The Tiandao King spoke, his aura faintly restrained. You are really strange. How can I walk my path? Do I need you to guide me? Su Yan replied indifferently. Su Yan, the heavenly saintess expression became even more bitter. She was stuck in the middle and was in a difficult position. Su Yan frowned. He didn't want to put the heavenly saintess in a difficult position. He also didn't expect the Tiandao King to be her senior brother. It seemed that the orthodoxy that the heavenly saintess joined was no small matter. You have guts. The Tiandao king laughed mockingly. He waved at the heavenly saintess and said, "Junior sister, come with me." The heavenly saintess' face was a little pale. This made it difficult for him. She struggled in her heart for a while. She looked at Su Yin and the others and smiled bitterly. She could only choose to leave. After all, she had joined the immortal Taoism. Moreover, the immortal world was powerful and the imperial city was glorious. Who knew what would happen in the future? Su Yin had too many great enemies. If things went wrong, the sovereign sect might be implicated in the future. Bamboo Moon sighed faintly in her heart. She wouldn't ask the heavenly saintess to stay. She also had her own difficulties. Bao Kai was a little annoyed. She was leaving just like that. No matter what, they had gone through hardships together. In the immortal world, they could be said to be from the same hometown. There was an indescribable feeling in her heart. However, she didn't have a deep relationship with the heavenly saintess. The surroundings roared with laughter. The heavenly saintess, who was extremely enthusiastic just now, was now leaving with the Tiandao king. Junior sister, stay away from them in the future. The road ahead is still very long. You can only be strong for a while, but it doesn't mean that you can continue to be strong in the future. The Tiandao king reminded her. Su Yin had offended the Thunder Immortal Elder. If the heavenly saintess was too close to Su Yin and the others, it would definitely hinder her future. I know what I'm doing. The heavenly saintess returned to normal. These days, the Tiandao king had been taking care of her. In fact, she knew that the Tiandao king loved her. Noticing that Su Yin and the others were silent, Mu Exine was like a happy fruit. Her big eyes were bright. She laughed and said, "Su Yin, Bao Kai, you have all obtained a lot of points. You can exchange them for a lot of treasures." Bao Kai suddenly became alert and almost forgot the most important thing. Bao Kai had 300,000 points. Similarly, Su Yin had more. The Immortal Cave had 2 great treasure vaults. Su Yin and Bao Kai were qualified to exchange in the inner treasure vault. They had to go to the core area of the Immortal Cave. "You guys go first. We will go and choose a cave abode." Bamboo Moon and Zxiao both left. They could not enter the core area. They also cherished their precious time. The outer area of the Immortal Cave had many top-notch secret abodes. They could speed up their growth for a short period of time. Su Yin is gone. What do we do? Someone frowned. An expert who invited the Tiangang King said, "He can't escape. The Tiangang King should be here soon. It's a pity that the Tiandao King didn't make a move just now. Otherwise, he would have been taught a lesson." Who is the Tiandao King? Targeting Su Yin is like bullying the weak. Someone shook his head. The Tiandao King belonged to the peak of the Immortal Cave. If he won, it wouldn't be glorious. After all, the Tiandao King had been in the Immortal Cave for too long. Several experts in the core area gathered together to discuss. Their expressions were cold. Some people were jealous. Su Yin had obtained a lot of points and was definitely going to exchange them for various treasures. Mu Xian had been to the Immortal Cave before. She was familiar with the core area. After passing through vast rivers and mountains, she once again walked into the sky and appeared in the resplendent starfield. Emperor's aura. Su Yin was shocked. In this resplendent starfield, above the 9 heavens, Su Yin caught the fluctuations of an emperor. Soon, Su Yin saw an ancient life star floating in the starfield's core. This ancient life star couldn't be considered too big, but it contained the supreme aura of an emperor. Could this be the place where an emperor proved his Tao? Chapter 1939. The star field was dazzling, and the ancient life star in the core area was filled with Emperor's heavenly might. In an instant, this ancient life star was no longer small. It was billions of times more majestic, like an emperor star that illuminated the heavens. It surged with endless divine might, suppressing the universe and seizing the fortune of heaven and earth. Mu Xian knew a bit about it, and said, "It is said that this planet used to be the place where immortal kings proved their Tao in ancient times. Over time, this planet turned into an emperor planet. It floated in the Immortals' Cave and was listed as the core area. From this, one could see how much the Xian people paid to build the Heaven's Cave. One could also see the determination to build the Heaven's Cave. In order to cultivate the strongest seed in the immortal world during the great war of immortals and demons, they used such a terrifying method to build the Heaven's Cave, ensuring that generations of invincible young gods of war would come out. At the same time, the Emperor Star's vast divine might could easily seal the heavens and the earth. It could also ensure that people like the princess could seal themselves for a long time without exhausting their potential. In short, this Emperor Star was the core of the Heaven's Cave. Stepping on the Emperor Star was like standing at the peak of the Great Tao. The three of them were shining brightly. This was an invisible baptism that made their bodies even purer. Standing on the Emperor's Star, Su Yin looked up at heaven and earth. This place was close to the Great Tao, so it was easy to comprehend it. Moreover, the order of heaven and earth here was even more terrifying and transcendent. Normally, Su Yin could shake off the suppression of the order of heaven and earth in the outside world, which was equivalent to an emperor erupting. However, he couldn't do it here. The Tao of heaven and earth was too domineering and supreme. A torrent flashed in Su Yan's heart. It was as if a spiritual light had suddenly appeared. His palm glowed, vaguely revealing the supreme mysteries of the heavenly palm. It was as if it was operating the heavens and the Emperor Star, breaking the suppression and imprisonment of the great Tao of heaven and earth. Su Yin was moved. This place was very helpful for comprehending the heavenly palm. He planned to cultivate here for a while. The benefits were obvious. Although Su Yin refused to acknowledge the core seed of the Heaven's Cave, the Chaos Immortal Elder had said that Su Yin could enjoy the treatment of the strongest seed. He could explore the great fortune lands and cultivate in the top secret palace. Temporary residence token? A group of guards rushed over and checked Su Yin and bout-sized tokens. Their faces immediately sank. However, when their divine senses probed inside, their expressions became extremely strange. Although it was only a temporary residence token, they had all the authority. Su Yin, Tai Bao Kai. The guard was shocked. They agreed to let them in and didn't stop Mu Xian. However, they warned Mu Xian not to run around. Without an identity medallion, she could easily be killed if she accidentally entered important areas. 1,000,000 points. This kid is so lucky. As they waited for Su Yin and the others to leave, the guard were left dumbfounded. This wealth was too terrifying. Ordinary core disciples might not be able to accumulate 100,000 points even in 100 years. But Su Yin had just arrived at Immortal Grotto, and he had 1,000,000 points. That number really shocked them. On the Imperial planet, there were very few people in the outside world. Su Yin surveyed the surroundings, looking at one trial land after another, super cave abodes after another. This shocked him greatly. Although there were more than 30 fortune mountains in the Emperor's repository Tao Cave. But on the Imperial planet, every secret palace that was discovered in the outside world would cause a bloody battle between powerful races. It was too valuable. After all, the Immortal Grotto had accumulated wealth over a long period of time. The Imperial planet was worthy of being called a place of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Many super cave abodes could be called supreme secret palaces. Su Yin looked the Immortal King Cave. Bao Kai exclaimed. He saw a supreme cave abode surrounded by supreme laws. It was simply a cave abode that gave birth to an immortal king. It exuded an ocean-like life, aura, surging violently. Dragon caves, phoenix nests, and so on could be seen. Any one of them was a super cave abode. There were also some supreme cave abodes that were formed by seizing the fortune of heaven and earth. Some cave abodes were filled with the aura of the beginning of heaven and earth. Their age was hard to imagine. Su Yin felt that it was inconceivable. The Immortal Grotto's foundation was too shocking. With such a strong foundation, it should be enough to create several emperor races, right? Su Yin thought to himself. Many of the supreme cave abodes could not be used by people of their level. After all, it was too wasteful. Even Mu Xian's eyes widened. She was very clear about these supreme cave abodes. However, she whispered, Su Yin, All members of the Immortal Academy are qualified to use the Immortal Grotto blessed lands on the Imperial planet. But these cave abodes can't be used without trying, Mu-Xin said again. You need points, a lot of points. Although you have 1,000,000 points, if you want to use the Immortal Grotto and other places of fortune, you need to spend a huge amount of points every day. This surprised Su Yin. It seemed that the Immortal Grotto's points were too important. At the same time, he asked, "Where's the strongest Immortal Grotto on the Imperial planet?" He looked into the distance. Even though he used his heavenly eye to the extreme, he could only see a blur. However, one after another, the silhouettes of experts flashed in the chaos, isolating Su Yin from using his spiritual probing. It must be in the innermost area. It is said that the Imperial planet's essence gathers there. Mu-Xin said enviously. But there are special conditions to use these Immortal Grotto blessed lands. Not only do you need points, but you also need to win in the Immortal Demon battlefield. Moreover, according to what I know, the Empress and a group of ancient overlords have been sealed in here and are sleeping. No wonder they weren't willing to leave. Bao Cai's eyes widened. Su Yin, if you were to sleep in the Emperor's Dao lair for millions of years, wouldn't you have endless resources and potential? No matter how strong you are, there is still a limit. Su Yin replied. After exploring the ultimate land of refinement, he was very clear that there were some things that could not be given by resources or fortune. I see it. It's in front. Mu-Xin smiled sweetly. Her big eyes were clear and sparkling as she pointed at a huge stone stele in front of them. Su Yin originally thought that they would have to go to the treasury to choose, but who knew that it would be a huge stone stele? They quickly walked over and took out their identity tokens. After activating them, they rushed into the stone stele. The stone stele lit up and poured out a soul force, guiding the power of their primordial spirits into the stone stele. Mu-Xin tugged at Su Yin's sleeve. Su Yin hurriedly wrapped Mu-Xion's spiritual power, including Big Goldie's. I'm suffocating. Big Goldie was depressed. He had been hiding in the furnace of suppression all day and was about to go crazy. The next moment he was shocked and cried out, Su Yin, what is this place? This golden mother stone, myriad Tao stone, millions of years of earth milk, branches and leaves of the firmament tree, exquisite stone heart, Tao bamboo marrow. Heavens, Su Yin, what is this place? Is this the treasury of the human world? Big Goldie went crazy and shouted. He was almost drooling. These natural treasures were extremely precious. Normally, if one wanted to dig them out of the treasures of heaven and earth, they would have to wait for a long time. But in this space of the stone stele, there was a sea of treasures in front of them. At this moment, Big Goldie really wanted to rob the entire treasury. He would definitely become the richest person in the world. The space of the stone stele was huge. There were huge door worlds one after another. There were treasures, stones, strange objects, secret techniques, heavenly techniques, supernatural powers, treasures. Big Goldie broke into the stone category and kept shouting. Isn't this too crazy? Bao Cai shouted, Su Yin, look, Immortal King True Dragon Blood, Immortal King Kuan Peng True Dragon Blood, Immortal King Vermilion Bird Blood. Bao Cai's eyes were red. He was so excited that he was about to faint. This was the foundation of the Immortal Cave. As long as he had enough points, he could get as much as he wanted. It smells so good. Bao Cai grinned. They didn't have a good impression of the Immortal Cave, but they were really jealous of the treasures in the treasury. Even the Immortal King couldn't sit still when he saw them. Mu-Xin squinted her big eyes and laughed excitedly. She was here to open her eyes. In short, every treasury was all-inclusive and contained all kinds of rare treasures. Any rare item would be fought over by all parties in the outside world. But in here, they were like cabbages innumerable. Su Yin's heart also beat faster. The materials needed for the next stage of the humanoid puppet's evolution could be gathered directly. He even estimated that he could gather the materials for the next stage. This was really enough to make people go crazy. No wonder everyone was jealous of 1,000,000 points. Damn, what the hell? Bao Cai's big fat face collapsed. He growled. A drop of true dragon blood cost 20,000 points. Although Bao Cai had a huge sum of 300,000 points, The points needed for important things were too high. For example, Big Goldie was jealous of a piece of mother of gold, but this piece of stone only weighed 500 grams and required 120,000 points. Not to mention other precious stones. 1,000,000 points seemed a lot, but in fact it was not enough to exchange for the top treasures. Muexian, how can I get a lot of points? Su Yin asked. Do the task and go through the levels. Muexian was stunned and then said, it seems that it takes a long time to accumulate 100,000 points, let alone 1,000,000 points. And some trials have examples of death. In general, the more dangerous the trial ground was, the more points one could get by passing it. But to accumulate 1,000,000 points? How could it be done in a short time? In fact, the biggest purpose of the Immortal Cave was to attract the core players to go through the levels. The more potential one had, the more resources one could get. Therefore, there was no hope to exchange for the top resources in large quantities. Of course, the fastest way to get points was to participate in the Immortal Demon War. One victory could get 10,000,000 points. But Muexian knew that some of the most difficult levels in the Immortal Cave gave a considerable amount of points, but the difficulty was too high. It was even said that if one could break the record, they could get millions of points. But these records were held by the princesses and the others. Even if an elite hero wanted to break them, the chances were slim. Su Yin took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. At present, Su Yin did not need any treasures. He had the universal treasure liquid to grow to the Emperor realm. Although the treasures in the sky were tempting, there were very few that could help him now. Su Yin exchanged for the Mother of Gold and handed it to Big Goldie. Big Goldie needed it to heal his injuries. Once a metal creature was injured, it needed treasures of the same level. Su Yin opened the treasures category and gasped in amazement. Any treasure here required a frightening amount of points. There were even immortal king weapons, but the points required were in the tens of millions. There were also mystiques and mystiques. In this series of treasures, the mystiques also required a lot of points. They were not one-time use. Viewing them for a day required tens of thousands of points. He even saw the mark of an immortal king. Viewing it for a day required 100,000 points. This caused Su Yin to be dumbfounded. This was a little ridiculous, but these were the ultimate mystiques in the Immortal Cave. It would be strange if they were not expensive. Su Yin's heart could not take it, and he quickly extinguished the thought. He had the Emperor's suppression art and the epic severing with a single sword. These ultimate techniques protected him, and he did not need any other ultimate mystiques. Physical techniques? Su Yin suddenly found a treasure trove. It was very small. Physical techniques for the physical body? Su Yin looked around expectantly. There were only a dozen mystiques here. The most frightening physical technique mystique in the lead shocked Su Yin. Unparalleled dragon wrestling art. Su Yin's eyes blazed. Viewing it for a day required 100,000 points. This meant that this heaven technique was on the same level as the mark of an immortal king. Chapter 1940. Supreme Dragon Wrestling Technique. Body Technique, the ultimate technique of the body cultivator lineage. This is the first time I've come into contact with this kind of supernatural power. Su Yin thought to himself. This was one of the few ultimate supernatural powers in the Immortal Cave Body Technique's treasure trove. Su Yin had wandered the number one mountain in the world. In the ultimate land of refinement, he had comprehended the supreme mysteries of the initial sutra. Then, he had furthered his studies in the Copper Palace. Without a doubt, Su Yin's achievements in the field of the physical body were already very high. If he had a shocking body technique to complement it, he would be like a tiger that had grown wings. The war of immortals and demons was about to begin. This time, the dark world was coming aggressively. Su Yin had no choice but to be on guard. He prepared to cultivate the supreme dragon wrestling technique to strengthen his physical body. Observing it for a day required 100,000 points. This was not a small number. Moreover, it was naturally difficult to comprehend this kind of inheritance in a short period of time. Immediately after, Su Yin exchanged for the materials needed for the next stage of the humanoid puppet's evolution. After exchanging, Su Yin discovered that he was only missing a type of material to evolve the puppet to its ultimate form. This made Su Yan's heartbeat accelerate. Similarly, this was only a repair. Then, the wealth needed to forge the humanoid puppet. It was hard to imagine how vast it would be. At the same time, it also indicated how powerful the human world was in the past. 1,000,000 points. Su Yan's face darkened. He only had 200,000 points left. He could only observe the Supreme Dragon wrestling technique for 2 days. Su Yan also decisively exchanged for it. It had to be known that the evolution of the humanoid puppet cost a total of 600,000 points. As for Bao Kai, he had basically used up all 300,000 points. All of them were exchanged for various types of immortal king blood. A large number of materials floated out from the stone tablet. Su Yan hurriedly took out a void bag and put them away. He also obtained a Supreme Dragon Wrestling Technique Observation Token. There were a total of 2 tokens, each representing 1 day. Su Yan, quickly lend me tens of thousands of points. I want to exchange for a drop of Golden Rock Immortal King Blood. Bao Kai shouted. He had exchanged all his points for Immortal King Blood, preparing to further strengthen his bloodline. Su Yan was a little speechless. He only had 30,000 points left, which satisfied Bao Cai's wish. Points, I must find a way to get a lot of points. Su Yan, how can you spend them so quickly? You spent 1,000,000 points. Bao Kai seemed very manic. He wanted to exchange for a set of Immortal King's weapon. He wanted to be armed to the teeth. However, if he really wanted to create a set, it would be impossible without hundreds of millions of points. Bao Kai was undoubtedly dreaming. I've exchanged for the Supreme Fighting Dragon Technique. Su Yan smiled. I didn't expect that the deity's cave's ultimate divine ability would require such a method to obtain. Bao Kai's eyes were burning with desire, but he did not have enough points. The fastest way to gain points is to participate in the Immortal Demon War. Mu Xian couldn't help but raise her chin and say with a smile, the second way is to explore the Immortal Cave's major trial grounds, but the accumulation speed will be slower. In fact, Bao Kai the Immortal's Cave was really too good. But at the same time, wouldn't he lose the most precious thing and be unable to continue growing? If Su Yan hadn't been taken care of by a Chaos Immortal Elder during the opening of the first mountain, he wouldn't have been qualified to stand on the Emperor planet and exchange points for a large number of treasures. I forgot to save some points. Bao Kai shouted. There were supreme secret caves in the core area for cultivation, but when he opened the Fortune Cave Abode category, he immediately fell silent. Su Yan was flabbergasted. Just the Immortal King Cave alone required 100,000 points to cultivate for a month. And this was only for a month. There were even places that were more expensive than that. Su Yan, 100,000 points isn't a lot. After all, there's a month of cultivation. Big Goldie looked at the Mother of Gold, or lovingly, and said, the daily operation of the Immortal King's Cave requires a huge amount of resources, and the Immortal King has to spend a lot of effort to nourish the cave abode to prevent it from running out of resources. 100,000 points is not much. Moreover, there were all kinds of treasures inside. None of them were too expensive, but the price to spend outside was too high. Only the Emperor clan had the qualifications and resources to build a supreme cave abode. Even in the Immortal King clan, there was no hope of maintaining a cave abode for a long time, unless the clan had a huge amount of wealth. Su Yan, Tai Bao Kai, you must get a lot of points and learn these peerless skills. Goldie said in a low voice, Bao Kai, your beast god power has just been perfected. You can cultivate the Dragon Tiger Vajra Seal and control the Dragon Tiger Vajra Seal to form the body of the Vajra beast god. This is an almost invincible great skill, and it's a famous secret technique in the immortal world. Bao Kai quickly found the Dragon Tiger Vajra Seal in the stone tablet. This secret technique required even more points than the Supreme Dragon Seizing Art. 130,000 points per day. It wasn't that Su Yan's Supreme Dragon Seizing Art wasn't strong enough, but that it was difficult to cultivate. Many experts who chose it in the past gave up. After all, the body cultivator lineage had declined. I didn't expect the heaven, earth, and man three senses to also have it, Goldie said in surprise. This is an extremely ancient secret technique in the immortal world. The Immortal Caves collection is truly shocking. Su Yin, you must cultivate this technique. 200,000 points a day. Su Yin was taken aback. This was a bit outrageous. It's nothing. Not to mention 200,000 points, just 250,000 gene of immortal sources per day would be enough for all the clans in the outside world to fight over it. Goldie said excitedly, "This is the perfect heaven, earth, and man 3 senses. Heaven opens the heavenly eye, man opens the heavenly phenomenon, and earth opens the divine feet. It's the peak speed of the rainbow transformation art." The heaven, earth, and man 3 senses were world-shaking. Goldie had heard of this technique a long time ago. Once Su Yin grasped the 3 senses technique, his battle prowess would instantly rise to a whole new level. However, it was extremely difficult to cultivate this secret technique. It contained a mysterious and unfathomable power. It could be said that it contained the greatest mysteries of secret techniques. Big Goldie also pointed out quite a few divine abilities, all of them extremely powerful and world-shocking. After looking for a while, Big Goldie shook his head and said, "Immortal Old Academy's group of experts brought out such a huge enticement. No wonder Immortal Cavern was so popular when they tried to recruit disciples. It really is too enticing. It looked very beautiful. In reality, the conditions to cultivate the top secret techniques were too harsh. Even the most outstanding talents might not be able to grasp them. Let's go all out and get more points." Bao Kai became more and more impatient. At this time, Su Yin noticed that a lethargic old cultivator had arrived. It looked like he was nearing the end of his life. He walked weakly and powerlessly, as if a gust of wind would blow him over. The old man who was about to enter the ground was slightly surprised when he noticed Bao Kai. He had never seen him before. Su Yin in the lead, in particular, made him feel stunned. Mu Xian's pretty face revealed a sweet smile. She bowed towards the old cultivator. This gray-robed old man had a slightly aged smile on his face. One had to know that in the core region of the Immortal Cave, any woman would have their eyes on the top of their heads. Normally, they wouldn't look him in the eye. Mu Xian spoke softly. She was very well-mannered. She asked the old cultivator about the specific location of the technique inheritance hall. The old cultivator pointed in the direction. Su Yan's supreme dragon wrestling art could only be comprehended in the technique inheritance hall. The heaven art secret technique was not allowed to be taken out at all. The gray-robed old cultivator watched them leave. His figure gradually became blurry, as if he had never appeared. "Su Yan, what's wrong with you?" On the way, Mu Xian saw that he had a lot on his mind. Su Yan glanced behind him and whispered, "That old senior, just now, was not simple. He made my heart palpitate a little. He's not someone to be trifled with." Mu Xian was stunned. Then, she said, "Some disciples of the Immortal Cave don't have enough potential. They basically choose to become the enforcers of the Immortal Cave. That old senior just now was probably a genius in the past." Su Yin nodded. After all, the Immortal Cave was the core of the immortal world. Being a member of it was enough to change the course of one's life. If one could become friends with an immortal elder, one could imagine their future. They would definitely live a life of glory and wealth. Gradually, they arrived at the Technique Inheritance Hall. This was an important area of the Imperial planet. There was a group of guards patrolling the gate. The Technique Inheritance Hall was very big and was heavily guarded both inside and outside. When Su Yin and his group arrived, these guards did not even ask any questions and directly opened the tightly shut door. However, who would have thought that there would be an extraordinary young man among them who pointed at Su Yin? His expression suddenly changed. "It's you." Su Yin was surprised and looked over. When enemies saw each other, their eyes turned red. Xian Hong's chest thundered, and he almost couldn't hold back from using force. But when he thought of Su Yan's achievements on the first mountain, Xian Hong felt like he had been punched. The Su Yin that he had once belittled and looked down on was now a famous peerless expert. He dominated the first mountain, and even the Tenrai of Beach was suppressed. He's Su Yin. I didn't expect him to be so young. The people around them discussed. These guards all knew that Xian Hong had been beaten up by Su Yin and had almost died in the royal city. But now, Su Yin was no longer the Su Yin of the past. What? Do you want to do it again? Su Yin asked. Xian Hong felt a chill in his heart, but he still said stubbornly, Su Yin, didn't you say you wouldn't enter the immortal cave? Why are you here licking your face again? Just becoming a core disciple isn't good enough for me. Su Yin replied. This made Xian Hong flush. That's right. Those who passed the first mountain were the most powerful seeded contestants. Xian Hong was only a past genius, and his status was much lower than Su Yan's. Xian Hong gnashed his teeth and glared at Su Yin. He really wanted to kill him. Su Yin snorted and stepped into the technique inheritance hall. He took out the command medallion. He took it out and handed it to his steward. The steward was shocked. This was the highest level of command medallion. He didn't have the qualifications to take Su Yin to receive the inheritance, so he could only ask the technique inheritance hall master. Soon, an old expert with a terrifying aura arrived. This made Su Yan's face turn dark. The immortal cave was so big. Why did he always run into acquaintances? Little friend, long time no see. I missed you. Xian Zhixing smiled and looked down at Su Yin. His old face was like a blooming chrysanthemum, and his smile was quite brilliant. After all, this was a taboo expert, a deacon of the Immortal Elder Academy. His status was second only to Elder Xian, and he was also one of the vice masters in charge of the Technique Inheritance Hall. He had great authority in the Immortal Cave. Back then, he was scared away by the old monkey, and this matter had always been in his heart. The steward handed the medallion to Xian Zhixing. According to the rules, he could open the strongest technique inheritance hall. Only one medallion? Xian Zhixing asked doubtfully. The steward was stunned. He scratched his head and braced himself. It's real. Su Yan's face twitched. This old thing wouldn't suspect that his medallion was fake, right? I know it's real. Xian Zhixing's voice was cold, making the steward's heart turn cold. He didn't know what was missing. Return the medallion. Xian Zhixing looked like he was doing something serious. He waved his hand coldly and said, This is against the rules. Don't go too far. Su Yan's eyes widened. This old thing was going to make things difficult for him? How dare you? This is not King City. How dare you be disrespectful to me? Xian Zhixing's eyes shot out two cold bolts of lightning. His aura suddenly became much more terrifying. A Dharma form that was hundreds of millions of feet long vaguely appeared behind him. It was hazy with a taboo ocean. It was so terrifying that it could tear the universe apart. Bao Kai and Mu Xian's hearts tightened, and they almost flew out. After all, this was a taboo expert. His aura was many times stronger than an Emperor Realm expert. The atmosphere in the Technique Inheritance Hall was extremely oppressive. What's against the rules? Say it out loud. I'm all ears. Su Yin was angry. He had the furnace of suppression to protect him, so he wouldn't be suppressed. Ha! Su Yin, I just reminded you of the Immortal Cave. This is not King City, Xian Zhixing said with a cold face. What right do you have to cultivate the strongest inheritance of the Immortal Cave? Don't forget that you're not a peerless genius of the Immortal Cave. This is a privilege given to me by the Immortal Elder of Chaos, Su Yin shouted. Are you questioning me or the Immortal Elder of Chaos? The Immortal Elder of Chaos was just careless. Don't pretend to be confused. Do you have to force me to speak clearly? Xian Zhixing's words were very direct. Bao Kai was furious. This was clearly telling them that they came from the human world and couldn't get the strongest inheritance of the Immortal Cave. He was treating them as thieves and guarding against them. You're too much of a bully, Mu Xian said angrily. Su Yin has the token, and you're hiding it from me. I'll report you to the Immortal Elder Academy. Ha ha ha. This is ridiculous. I'm the deacon of the Immortal Elder Academy. Come and report me. Xian Zhixing laughed and ignored this little girl. He believed that the Immortal Elders of the Immortal Elder Academy wouldn't be stupid enough to give the strongest inheritance to Su Yin. Su Yin, you're not one of the top 10 participants. What right do you have to occupy the strongest resources of the Immortal Cave? Xian Zhixing's words became more and more unpleasant. There's one more thing. The Immortal Elder must have been careless. The Supreme Dragon Wrestling technique must be broken through the Celestial Dragon Realm. But you can't even pass this level. What right do you have to cultivate the Supreme Dragon Wrestling technique? So you chose the Supreme Dragon Wrestling technique. Su Yin, you're really confident. Xian Hong sneered. Do you know what kind of secret technique this is? Do you know what the Celestial Dragon Realm is? Even the Celestial Dipper King isn't qualified to cultivate it. And looking at the entire Immortal Cave, there are very few who can break the Celestial Dragon Realm. It was common knowledge that some of the Immortals Cave's ultimate techniques had to be passed through some special checkpoints and trial grounds before one could cultivate them. The restriction was very big. This also showed that the points needed to observe the Supreme Dragon Wrestling technique weren't that high. The Celestial Dragon Realm was also one of the most difficult areas of the Immortal Cave. There were too few who broke through it. If they couldn't pass it, they wouldn't have the qualifications to exchange for a divine ability. The reason why the Immortal Elder opened Su Yan's authority was that as long as he broke through the first mountain's ultimate trial. That makes sense. Xian Zhixing sneered. Su Yan didn't break the Celestial Dragon Realm at all. What right did he have to enjoy such high-end treatment? Chapter 1941. Su Yan held the token in his hand and turned to leave. Xian Zhixing was surprised that Su Yan turned around and left. He thought he would make a big fuss and ask a Chaos Immortal Elder to speak for Su Yan. Su Yan would not trouble others easily. Wasn't it just passing through the Celestial Dragon Realm? He would just go and see what they would say when the time came. Why are you leaving? Xian Zhixing was not satisfied. He said with a gloomy tone, Don't you have someone behind you? Why don't you call them out and let me see? In Immortal Elder Academy, the various Immortal Elders all grasped heaven overflowing authority. The Chaos Immortal Elder was in charge of transferring all of the resources and secret realms outside Immortal Cave. On the contrary, the one who kept Technique Inheritance Hall in check was another Immortal Elder. He believed that this Immortal Elder would not let Su Yin master the Immortal World's peerless techniques so easily. Reality was so cruel. Su Yan's eyes flashed coldly. He looked sideways and shouted, Old thing, don't go too far. How dare you? The group of guards flew into a rage. Su Yin actually dared to shout at the Deputy Palace Master in such a manner. He was truly daring. How dare you? Xian Zhixing was also furious. He pointed at Su Yin and said, You little thing, don't think you can behave atrociously in the Immortal Cave just because you have some achievements. If you didn't have Phoenix King and the others behind you, you would have died 7 or 8 times already. I can't take it anymore. Bao Kai was so angry that his face changed. This old thing was too much. He threatened Su Yin so blatantly. Did he really think they would be afraid of a forbidden expert? You old thing, you want to make things difficult for me? Su Yan's black hair danced in the wind. His aura was unusually cold. He shouted, It's not that I look down on you, but you are not qualified. Su Yin, how dare you disrespect the Deputy Hall Master of the Technique Hall when you're only temporarily staying in the Immortal Cave? Xian Hong was furious and walked over with a baleful aura. Now, there was no one to help Su Yin increase his magic power, right? After all, this person was a top-grade ruler. He forced himself towards Su Yin and looked down at him from above. He reprimanded loudly. If this is a crime, it's not a small one. Apologize to me immediately, or I'll make sure that you won't be able to leave the Skill Inheritance Hall. Loser. Su Yan's eyes flashed with a bone-chilling coldness. He said disdainfully, You dare to jump out and show off? Have you forgotten the pain of that year? Now you want to do it again? I can fulfill your wish. Su Yin, you're too audacious. You were rude to the Deputy Hall Master, and now you're disrespectful to the enforcers. Xian Hong let out an angry roar, and the aura that had been dormant in his body surged. The laws of the Sovereign Tao appeared in the world, and a huge Dharma Laksana true body appeared in the sky, covering Su Yin. This attack was very powerful. Xian Hong directly erupted with his strongest battle strength, wanting to suppress Su Yin. Roar! Bao Kai roared into the sky, and the aura of the King of Beasts rose from its body. Suddenly, it carried Su Yin and charged toward Xianhong. The aura of the man and the horse was extremely powerful, surging with a terrifying majesty. They emitted an unparalleled spiritual aura, tearing the sky and splitting the sea. They bombarded the space and time, causing it to tremble. Right in front, a large number of guards were shocked. It was as if they were standing in a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, standing in a spiritual purgatory. A hint of fear rose in their hearts, and they wanted to kneel down and worship them. How is this possible? They were out of control. These were the absolute overlords who had passed through the first mountain. Su Yin and Bao Kai were the strongest among the strongest. They were the absolute overlords who looked down on their peers. Now, when the two of them joined forces to attack, the entire area turned dark. It was as if a slumbering demon lord had been resurrected. Boom! Bao Kai trampled the sky, and the shadows of beasts filled the sky. The moment Su Yin unleashed his attack, blood soared into the sky from the collapsed imperial laws of order. It instantly covered the entire technique inheritance hall and emitted a domineering aura that seemed to belong to none other than him. Just this punch alone had smashed the universe and destroyed the Emperor's Dao laws. In an instant, it bombarded forward. Xianhong was terrified, and his heart sank. What kind of power was this? He tried to use secret treasures to resist, but it was useless because his whole body was locked, and it was difficult for him to move. Moreover, the Emperor's Dao laws that he used were destroyed. The terrifying punch landed on Xianhong's chest. He trembled, and his whole chest burst open, and a bloody hole appeared. Ah! Xianhong screamed and fell to the ground. His body was crippled, and his eyes turned black. He fainted. What? Xianjishing was furious. Terrifying beams of light shot out from his eyes like a terrifying lion. Xianhong was directly injured by Su Yan's punch and fainted. This was too humiliating. Trash, you lost all my face. Xianjishing was so angry that his heart and lungs were trembling. He also instantly raised a big hand and charged at Su Yan. The entire giant palm was surrounded by the forbidden laws, and it could easily destroy the world. One man and one horse. The horse stepped into the sky, and his majestic appearance shocked the world. The forbidden palm pressed down and slapped Su Yan's flesh shell. In an instant, it caused his body to resonate. In particular, his heart awakened an ancient dragon-like aura, causing the entire space to tremble. Even a corner of the Emperor's star was shaking. Boom! A black divine furnace was awakened, and it was filled with the power of domain suppression. The forbidden power in the sky collapsed. Su Yin and Bao Kai worked together to awaken the furnace of domain suppression. This supreme treasure steamed with the aura of an immortal king, and it was so terrifying that it could destroy the forbidden giants. Bang! The entire forbidden palm was torn apart. The pitch-black divine furnace shone, radiating terrifying energy ripples that surged so violently that the group of guards was about to be torn apart. After all, this was the technique inheritance hall. It was protected by a supreme secret technique that isolated the energy fluctuations of the immortal king divine furnace. Even so, Xian Zhushing suffered a thunderous blow, and the void bloomed with bloody light. He screamed, and his hair was disheveled. He fell and smashed into a human-shaped pit. The group of guards was stunned. Xian Zhushing was severely injured. Su Yan was still controlling the immortal king divine furnace, and it was still emitting the power of domain suppression. The divine furnace seemed to have turned into a black star domain that was terrifying enough to devour all living beings in the universe. B** starred. Xian Zhushing screamed in pain. His eyes were about to split open. He didn't expect Su Yan to have such a powerful weapon. This was an immortal king weapon. Old thing, come out. I'll suppress you to death. Su Yan's black hair danced in the wind, and killing light shot out from his eyes. The furnace of domain suppression hung above his head, and he used the power of the immortal devil domain suppression sutra. He could easily destroy the universe and kill the forbidden experts. Outside's blood boiled. An immortal king weapon was indeed an immortal king weapon, with this thing protecting them. As long as it was an immortal king, no one could make things difficult for them. He really hoped that he could get one from the Immortal Cave's treasure vault in the future. Xian Zhixing was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. His arm was broken, and his eyes were spitting fire. As the deputy hall master of the Technique Inheritance Hall, when had he suffered such a big loss? What happened? The commotion was a little big. A large group of guards rushed over from the distant world. When they saw Xian Zhixing heavily injured, they were shocked. When they saw the furnace of domain suppression in Su Yan's hand, they were surprised. Who was this young man? This kid has no respect for the law. He wants to barge into the Technique Inheritance Hall. Xian Zhixing immediately put a big label on Su Yan. He wanted the law enforcers of the Imperial planet to suppress Su Yan and ask for an immortal king weapon. These guards obviously didn't believe Xian Zhixing's words, unless Su Yan had gone crazy. Su Yan? When these guards checked Su Yan's identity token, their faces were a little strange. Bao Kai was a great monster who climbed the first mountain. Mu Xian was the descendant of the Phoenix King. She had already recorded what had happened in a Starry Sky scroll and showed it to them. These guards were speechless. What was going on? Xian Zhixing attacked Su Yan, but he had activated the furnace of domain suppression in his heart. Xian Zhixing's face was pale. He had suffered such a big loss. Could he only bear it by himself? Su Yan, Tiangang King want to find you before, but it seems that you didn't meet. A powerful guard walked out. He was a former disciple of a Chaos Immortal Elder. He reminded him, I heard that your people are in big trouble. Thank you for telling me. Su Yan's face fell. Before the mysterious skeleton went into hibernation, it told them not to expose too much of Burying Heaven Cave's secret technique. The most important thing was Zixia Fairy. If the reincarnation imperial family really found out that he had something to do with Celestial Tyrant Emperor's death, Zixia Fairy's inheritance would be exposed. Tiangang King was here. He was very famous in the core area. He had climbed the first mountain and participated in the Great War of Immortals and Demons. There was no need to mention how important this person was. He had been in the Great Sage Realm for a very long time, and was definitely stronger and more powerful than King Tiangang back then. Whereas Heavens equals Sage King. Tiangang King searched everywhere, but couldn't find him. The people of the lower realm were very fierce. Su Yan and Bao Kai both climbed the first mountain. This made Yingjia of the Fairy Cave unable to sit still. He wanted to come out and suppress them. Don't think that you are invincible just because you climbed the first mountain. Without a doubt, Tiangang King's appearance caused a big reaction. They all felt that it was reasonable to take action and intimidate them. They wanted to let them know what kind of place the Fairy Cave was. Even the powerful dragons of the mortal realm had to bow down. Fairy, good move. Ha ha ha. The people of the mortal realm can't do it. This area was very lively. Many disciples in the outer area clapped their hands and cheered. There were also men who said with admiration, Fairy Monli, you are becoming more and more stunning. You suppressed the woman of the lower realm without opening your heavens, and even took away the heavenly star bead. Luan Monli was the proud daughter of the reincarnation imperial family. She was also good friends with Starry Night. Her expression was cold and arrogant. A forbidden treasure woven from 10,000 stars floated in her palm. She looked down at Bamboo Moon from high above. She originally wanted to slap her and humiliate her, but she didn't expect her to dodge. Actually, this woman is really not bad. Her appearance is much more stunning than Luan Monli's. She can be compared to the 10 beauties. There are also some small groups who were discussing in low voices. They were very excited. In my opinion, we should let Su Yan and the others scram. These women can definitely become precious treasures of the fairy world. Ha! Dao Brothers' words are very reasonable. This group of small groups discussed excitedly. Their gazes were fixed on the dignified and beautiful Bamboo Moon. There were even some women who screamed incessantly, hoping that Luan Monli would ruthlessly destroy the beauty and beat Bamboo Moon up. They were jealous of Bamboo Moon's appearance. So boring. Luan Monli sneered. She was not afraid of Su Yan at all. She pointed at Fairy Zixia and said, "And you, come, I will only use one hand." Fairy Zixia was very angry. She couldn't be as calm as Bamboo Moon. She wanted her to pretend to admit defeat and surrender. Lose to such a woman? Chapter 1942. What? You don't dare? Are you scared? Luan Monli smiled brightly, and her expression became more and more proud. She thought it would be a fierce battle, but she didn't expect to suppress Bamboo Moon so easily. This made her very happy. More and more people gathered in this area. Most of them were outer disciples of the Immortal's Cave, but there were also core disciples around, exuding a strong aura. She's too timid, she gave in before the battle even started. Some people despised her, which caused a roar of laughter. They didn't mind watching the fun, but some people secretly frowned. Bullying the weak was not in line with the practice of the Immortal's Cave. Bamboo Moon and Zixia Fairy only had the opportunity to cultivate in the Immortal's Cave for 10 years. They weren't disciples of the Immortal's Cave at all. However, Luan Monli was not an ordinary person, and no one dared to stand up for Bamboo Moon. Besides, Su Yan's presence couldn't help. Tiangang King was here for him, and he said he wanted to take his thunder away. If you're scared, just give up. Luan Monli's attitude was aggressive. She pointed at Bamboo Moon and said in a sharp tone, "Silence won't do. Aren't the people of the human world very arrogant? You caused such a big storm in King City. Why did you come to the Immortal's Cave and pretend to be mute? Even Su Yin avoided meeting you. You're just a group of paper tigers." Crackle, crackle. Zixia Fairy couldn't bear it anymore. She clenched her fists and gritted her teeth in anger. There was a faint, terrifying sword aura leaking out from her body. Angry? Luan Monli wore a green dress and had a graceful figure. She laughed strangely and said, "What's the use of being angry? If you're not strong enough, just give up and I'll consider letting you go so you won't suffer so much." Bamboo Moon sighed faintly. She was as calm as a real fairy, and her starry eyes dimmed. She said to Zixia, "The Immortal's Cave is very different from what we imagined. I didn't expect that there would be people who bully the weak and have such a rude and aggressive attitude. The environment here is really terrible, and it doesn't match the rumors." This sentence shocked many people in the Immortal's Cave, especially Luan Monli. She looked furious and shouted, "You've lost. What's the point of saying this nonsense? Everyone wants to go higher, but the geniuses of the Immortal Cave all want to go lower?" Bamboo Moon's expression was calm, and her tone was calm as she said, "If you're really capable, why don't you go to the first mountain?" Luan Monli's face was ugly. It could be said be ashen. Her eyes were spitting fire as she angrily said, "What does it have to do with you whether I go or not? A loser like you really has a lot to say. How come I didn't realize you were so talkative just now? And that Su Yin, isn't he very capable? Why is he hiding and not daring to meet people? Su Yin will not bully the weak, nor will he humiliate the weak." Bamboo Moon shook her head slightly. She was dressed in a silver robe, and her eyes were bright. She was dignified and beautiful, graceful and noble. She said softly, "You clearly know our strength. We are not even outer disciples of the Immortal's Grotto, yet you challenged us and humiliated us. You even took away our items. You have a bad heart." The surroundings were silent. Some people who were dissatisfied with Luan Monli's arrogance shook their heads. Luan Monli had indeed gone too far. Although the strong were king in the Immortal's Grotto, the top geniuses of the Immortal's Grotto would not casually bully the weak. In short, no matter how angry Zixia Fairy was, she had to endure it. If the news of the first mountain deliberately hiding their strength leaked out, it would be strange if the reincarnation imperial family did not suspect them. After all, the most troublesome thing was the Emperor's repository Tao Cave. "Bastard, you're not strong enough, yet you talk so much nonsense. I'll tear your mouth apart." Luan Monli was furious. She raised her jade palm and tried to suppress Bamboo Moon. The sky was filled with a rain of reincarnation light, covering the world in front of them. However, Bamboo Moon, who was about to be imprisoned, walked through the starry sky with light steps, her clothes fluttering in the wind. She was a peerless beauty. Bamboo Moon's elegance was extraordinary, like a real fairy who had descended to the mortal world. She avoided the suppression of reincarnation power and remained calm. Many people were in a daze, and even some women felt ashamed of their inferiority. Bamboo Moon had the demeanor of a great family, but she was also beautiful and gentle. On the other hand, although Luan Monli was gorgeous, it was difficult to compare her to Bamboo Moon. Do you only know how to hide? Luan Monli was so angry that she screamed. Her palm rose up again and pressed down on the area where Zhu Yu was. She used a great divine ability to confine heaven and earth. Although Bamboo Moon had hidden her true cultivation, she was not someone Luan Monli could easily suppress. After more than 10 consecutive attacks, she did not even manage to touch the corner of Bamboo Moon's clothes. The surrounding people were shocked, and Luan Monli was about to go crazy. This was a kind of shame. As a top contestant in the outer region of the Immortal Cave, she could not make things difficult for a small Bamboo Moon. Suppress. At this moment, in Luan Monli's palm, the heavenly star bead rotated, and tens of thousands of stars shone. It was like a sea of stars dancing in the sky, revealing a peerlessly powerful power. This was a set of forbidden treasures, and in an instant, it rushed toward Bamboo Moon. Many people were shocked. Luan Monli wanted to kill Bamboo Moon. Bamboo Moon's eyes were somewhat cold. Just as the heavenly bamboo forest was about to recover, an unusually turbulent aura surged from afar. Along the way, a large number of cultivators flew out. This was a shocking power that could paralyze all living things. Boom! A black divine furnace descended from the sky, crushing the power of the heavenly star bead into pieces. Tens of thousands of star beads wailed and returned to silence. Luan Monli coughed up blood, trembled, and almost fell. At the critical moment, the top of her head shone, and a large earthen yellow seal rushed into the sky. The seal was inscribed with the symbols of life and death. However, the power of the furnace of suppression was too strong, and in an instant, it suppressed this earthen yellow seal. "My treasure!" Luan Monli screamed. This was the most precious treasure she was proud of, and it was bestowed to her by her tribe. Now, it was directly swallowed by the furnace of suppression. Suyin. This place was in an uproar. This person was really powerful, and directly snatched away Luan Monli's life and death reincarnation seal. Although this treasure was an imitation, its divine power was truly powerful. Suyin noticed that Bamboo Moon and Zixia were not injured, and immediately calmed down. A pair of cold eyes stared at Luan Monli, and he saw through her origins. "Hand over my treasure." Luan Monli was furious. Suyin did not seem to have any intention of returning it. "Suyin, you've gone too far. What's the point of using an immortal king weapon to suppress Luan Monli? It's an unfair victory." "That's right. You even took away Luan Monli's treasure. Hand it over." Some people stood up for Luan Monli and stood out to reprimand Suyin. They were also shocked. Wasn't this the Xian people's furnace of suppression? It had actually fallen into Suyin's hands. Ridiculous. Only the magistrate can set a fire, but the commoners can't light a lamp? Fairy Zixia mocked. Just now, Luan Monli snatched away Bamboo Moon's heavenly star bead. Why did you stand out to speak for her? Now you're blaming Suyin. This is not the same at all. Suyin is relying on an immortal king weapon. Someone's expression was very cold. "I think your eyes are not working well." Suyin did not use the divine power of an immortal king weapon, Fairy Zixia replied. Some people were speechless. Thinking about it carefully, it seemed to be true. If an immortal king weapon was a silent source of divine power, it could indeed only be considered a forbidden item. You didn't lose out, right? Suyin walked over and handed the heavenly star bead to her. "I'm fine. Be careful. Don't be reckless." Bamboo Moon secretly transmitted her voice to inform Suyin that there was an expert's divine sense on Luan Monli, who had been observing her during the battle just now. After all, Bamboo Moon had the secret treasure of the sky bamboo forest. Using this item to suppress her, even immortal kings would find it difficult to see her specific strength. This made Suyin's heart tremble. It seemed that the Reincarnation Emperor tribe had already started to suspect them. After all, many years had passed, and the Tyrant Celestial Emperor's death had not been confirmed. They did not even know who the mastermind was. Now that the Reincarnation Emperor tribe had already started to suspect them, this was not a good thing. Return my treasure to me. Luan Monli's heart was filled with anger. She pointed at Su Yin and said, "Sneak attack from behind." Su Yin, you are a despicable person. What are you? Su Yin cast a sidelong glance at Luan Monli and shouted, "How dare you be rude to me? If you have nothing to do, scram to the side." These words were like a clap of thunder, shocking the hearts of the people around. Luan Monli was the proud daughter of the Reincarnation Emperor tribe. No matter where she went, she would be surrounded by stars. But Su Yin said that she was a what? Many people were petrified. Luan Monli was so angry that her body trembled. She completely lost control and shouted like a shrew. "Su Yin, do you think that you are invincible? Tian Gang King, why are you still not attacking and suppressing him?" She admitted that she could not defeat Su Yin, but there was someone who could. Boom! In an instant, heaven and earth trembled violently. It was as if a golden sun had appeared in the sky, emitting terrifying energy ripples. In this endless bright sun, there was a figure that looked like an ancient war god. He had a majestic aura that could swallow the sun and moon. It was the Tian Gang King. The Tian Gang King is here. The surrounding people shouted fanatically. The disciples in the outer region of the Immortals' Cave were extremely respectful to the Tian Gang King. His appearance alarmed the elders in the outer region of the Immortals' Cave. They came one after another. All of them were silent and did not try to stop him. They also wanted to know how powerful Su Yin, who dominated the first mountain, was. Now, the Phoenix King and the old monkey had joined hands to go to the Immortal Elder Institute to propose a new ranking list. The Immortal Elder of the Immortals' Cave also wanted to know how powerful Su Yin was. After all, this was related to the great war between the immortals and demons. A great era of storms was about to arrive. The greatest clash between the immortal world and the dark world was about to begin. Su Yin, this is the first time we meet. I have long heard of your great name. The Tian Gang King's words were like a bell. He was also very direct. Return Luan Monli's treasure. This person's tone was not small, directly ordering Su Yin. However, there was no doubt about his strength. He was extremely powerful. What if I don't give it to you? Su Yin's lips curled up in a cold smile. His figure was slender, but there was a majestic aura about him. He was like a demon god that illuminated all directions. Su Yin, there is no need to make things difficult for a girl in a battle between the top levels. The Tian Gang King's words were calm, but everyone could feel how terrifying this person was. It was as if he was standing in the distance. His body was hazy and radiant. It was impossible to see clearly. Why didn't you stand out and speak just now? Fairy Zixiao walked over, her purple clothes fluttering. She shouted, "Now you are saying that this is a battle between the top levels. Luan Monli just took away Bamboo Moon's treasure. Why didn't you stand out? Woman, you didn't even dare to come out and fight with me just now. Now that Su Yin is here, you jump out. You're really timid. However, do you think that you can talk to the Tian Gang King as an equal just because you have Su Yin? Just because you can challenge the first mountain doesn't mean you have invincible battle strength." Luan Monli screamed, her words ear-piercing. The Tian Gang King's appearance instantly gave her a backbone. Talk as an equal? Fairy Zixia sneered. Then what qualifications do you have to be impudent in front of Su Yin and question him? Do you believe that he can crush you with a single finger? Luan Monli was incomparably angry. She glared at Su Yin and said, "Crush me with a single finger? Don't get slapped to death by the Tian Gang King when the time comes. Since you don't believe me, I can fulfill your wish." Su Yin's words roused the spirits of the surrounding people. Some people felt that Su Yin was too arrogant. He had just ascended the first mountain and dared to crush a top genius of the outer regions with a single finger. Su Yin, you are too arrogant. Luan Monli was furious. She was destined to walk towards Su Yin. She didn't believe in heresy. "Monli, come back," the Tian Gang King said in a low voice. I don't believe that he can crush me with a single finger. Luan Monli was incomparably angry. Her aura erupted to the extreme. She shouted coldly, "That bitch called Z shall listen to me. If he can't do it, kneel down and admit your mistake." Boom! In an instant, Su Yan's finger rose up. It was so heavy that it was somewhat terrifying. Heaven and earth trembled. The finger seemed very small, but it actually contained boundless strength. It enveloped Luan Monli's body. No matter how much she struggled, she couldn't move. She was completely suppressed in an instant. Luan Monli's body was twisting. It was really going to shatter. She looked abnormally small. Under Su Yan's finger, she was like a tiny ant. Chapter 2. Today's Eruption. Chapter 1943. Luan Monli was terrified. No matter what kind of foundation she had, she could not resist at all. Her body was twisting and cracking. Fresh blood flowed down and dyed the ground red. She could not even let out a cry of pain. Her body trembled, and her heart was filled with fear and humiliation. A finger could really crush her to death. How much power did that finger contain? The people around them were also petrified. They had thought that Su Yan was just saying it casually, but they did not expect him to have unparalleled combat power. After all, Luan Monli was not weak. But she could not even withstand the power of Su Yan's finger. This is the equal heaven sage king who stands at the peak of the first mountain. At this moment, they were alerted. Su Yan was a peerless hero who had ascended the first mountain. This was a fact among facts. His divine might was shocking, and there were very few who could compete with him in the same generation. What was a mere Luan Monli? She could not even enter the core area of the Immortal Cave. But Su Yan refused to become the Immortal Cave's strongest seated contestant. It was clear how much confidence he had. Su Yan vaguely sensed a strong, deadly aura nearby. Some elders could not sit still. After all, Luan Monli was a disciple of the Immortal Cave. They could not just watch her die. Su Yan flicked his finger and sent Luan Monli flying. She fell to the ground and coughed up blood. Her body trembled, and her mouth and nose were full of blood. She could not say a word, and she could not even get up. What was the difference between being severely injured with a finger and dying? This was the equal heaven sage, King Su Yan. In an instant, the gazes on him changed. Some were respectful, some were fearful, and some were fanatical. The atmosphere in the area was somewhat stifling. Could the Tiangang king sit still? Sure enough, the figure in the golden sun gradually became clearer. It was like a war god from ancient times. His bronze body was majestic. Although he was not as burly as the barbarian god, he was still very tall. His messy hair flew, his face was sharp, and his pupils were extremely sharp. As expected of the Ingjia who ascended the first mountain, whispered the Tiangang king. He had also ascended, but his speed was not as fast as Su Yan's. At this moment, he acknowledged Su Yan's strength. He had also been in the Saint Realm for a long time. He did not believe that he was weaker than Su Yan. The Tiangang king walked over step by step. His aura was getting stronger and stronger. The entire area was shaking. It was as though the god of war was taking a step forward. The sky was filled with boundless pressure pressing down on Su Yan. And many people were scared out of their wits. The elders who were watching from afar all lost their colors. This area was completely distorted and deformed. If it wasn't for the Immortal Cave's territory being firm, this area would be barren and everything would silently evaporate. But you are too domineering. You shouldn't humiliate her like this. The Tiangang sovereign revealed his dissatisfaction and shouted coldly. The deity cave has produced many experts in the past. It is the place where the heroes of the world gather. Su Yan, your sharpness is too strong. This is not a good thing. What? I kneel here and let her humiliate me. Do I deserve the status of the Immortal Cave? Tiangang king, if you want to stand up for Luan Monli, just do it. You are not qualified to reprimand me. Su Yan sneered. His eyes scanned the Tiangang king. This person's body was really strong. He could see his vast blood and chi. Although Luan Monli is wrong in some areas, Su Yan, you're new here. You're a little too much. The Tiangang king shook his head. He was infinitely close to Su Yan. He said softly, "Of course, this has nothing to do with me. The Tenrai of Beach said that he wanted to deal with you. But Su Yin, you dare to reject the invitation of the Immortal Cave. You really don't know how to appreciate favors. Do you think the Immortal King path is so easy to walk? The area rumbled. The blood and chi in the Tiangang King's body was too strong. It burned fiercely. The nearby cultivators were shocked. They felt as if they had fallen into a divine furnace. Their blood and chi were about to melt. Let's go, they exclaimed. The peak battle was about to begin. This has nothing to do with you. Su Yin said indifferently. It is good to have strong potential, but you can't be too arrogant. Besides, I want to participate in the immortal demon war. The Tiangang King's aura grew stronger. His blood and chi rippled, covering the sky. He shouted, "The number one mountain under the heavens is only based on one's potential. It doesn't represent one's combat strength. Su Yin, if you don't have enough combat strength, you should retreat. This is the most important matter in the immortal world. You can't be careless. So you want to use me to establish your prestige and fight for the chance to participate in the immortal demon war." Su Yin was a little surprised. He said, "Your confidence is really strong. Just based on your attitude and determination to participate in the battle, I can go easy on you later." "You impudent!" The Tiangang King was angry. His essence, chi, and spirit changed instantly. His bronze body was filled with a terrifying sharpness. He suddenly pounced on Su Yin. Su Yin is too arrogant. Tiangang King, beat him up. The Tiangang King is invincible. His body is so strong that you can't find many people who are on par with him in the Immortal Cave. Many people shouted fanatically. What did Su Yin mean by his words just now? They hadn't even started fighting, and he said that he would go easy on the Tiangang King. Who was the one targeting who? Did they figure it out? Come. Su Yin took the initiative to walk forward. He raised his hand and pressed forward. Kill! The Tiangang King roared. His oppressive aura shook the heavens and earth. The moment his fist rose, it exploded with a shocking aura that could uproot rivers and mountains. It hit Su Yin. With a loud sound, the 10-square world trembled. The energy ripples surged violently. The void was constantly destroyed, forming a terrifying destructive attack. Many people couldn't bear it. They felt as if the sky was full of stars smashing on their bodies. Some people were shocked. Su Yin blocked it. His arm didn't move at all. Boom! Terrifying light emitted. The sound of thunder exploded. It was a pure contest of physical strength. The power was turbulent and majestic. Many people couldn't look at it. The light that burst out of the battlefield was too bright. This was the collision of two great war gods. In a short period of time, the sky and earth darkened. The sun and moon lost their light. So strong, I've underestimated you. The Tiangang King had a premonition that Su Yin was terrifying. No matter how strong he was, he still couldn't find out Su Yin's foundation. This made him feel that he was facing a peerless enemy. In an instant, the Tiangang King changed completely. His bronze body stood tall, and the pores on his body leaked blood chi light. It filled the starry sky. It was like a burning furnace of heaven and earth. Blood chi light poured down from the outer realms. This body, the younger generation trembled. The foundation of the Tiangang King was too shocking and peerless. Once the essence blood in his body erupted, it flooded the world. This was the demeanor of a peerless saint. His body dominated the world like a wild dragon. Boom! Astral Dipper King's body emitted faint dragon roars. This was an extremely terrifying phenomenon. Astral Dipper King's body was about to transform into a corporeal true dragon that soared into the skies. Behind him, an illusory Dharma idol appeared and punched out together with Astral Dipper King. Sky Tyrant Fist. The Tiangang King roared toward the sky. This was one of the few body technique inheritances in the Immortal Cave. Although it couldn't be compared to the Supreme Dragon Wrestling technique, it still allowed the Tiangang King's body to erupt to the highest level. Even the figure behind him shone brightly. Su Yan's palm turned into a fist. This strike was peerless. It shook the void and bombarded the Sky Tyrant Fist. The elders who were watching from all sides turned pale. Su Yin did not seem to have activated any magical powers, but his fist imprint contained a very frightening mystery. It was as if he had merged with the heavens and earth. Hence, the fist imprint that exploded was like an immortal sun that illuminated the heavens. What's that? Look quickly. Some elders opened their heavenly eyes and looked into the distance. They found that Su Yan's fist was illuminating heaven and earth. It was as if heaven and earth had turned into a giant fist. What kind of profundity was this? It caused a huge change in heaven and earth. It was about to destroy the stars in the sky. The Tiangang King brandished the Sky Tyrant fist. One couldn't help but admit that he was a battle maniac. He was very clear about how terrifying Su Yan was, but he still rushed over. He didn't believe that he couldn't force out Su Yan's strongest combat prowess. Su Yan was simple and direct. Golden fist imprints blasted over, causing the Sky Tyrant fist to be dyed red with blood. Even the Tiangang King's body was about to explode. With the power of the heavens, I'm invincible. The Tiangang King howled. His body merged with the giant figure behind him, exuding a tyrannical strength. His aura grew even more turbulent. Such an aura was so oppressive that it was hard to breathe. This was the ultimate form of the Sky Tyrant fist. It howled with the power to dominate the world, causing chaos in the heavens and earth. Even a corner of the universe was wailing. The Tiangang King instantly erupted with 10 layers of ferocious attacks. They stacked on top of each other, covering this entire area, forming a destructive tide that filled the sky. Break! Su Yan roared. His body trembled violently. The power of the great treasure was faintly discernible, yet it formed an extremely powerful attack that tore apart all obstructions. This was a power that was unrivaled in the same generation. It was unstoppable. What kind of ultimate art is this? The Tiangang King felt a headache. He was stunned. The Sky Tyrant fist was in its strongest state, yet it still couldn't suppress him. He could vaguely sense that Su Yan had grasped a supreme power that was impossible to block. You really want to know? Su Yan's figure was very calm from start to finish. In this world, there were only a few experts that could make Su Yan use his true strength. Tiangang King, why are you asking such nonsense? Hurry up and attack. Luan Monli screamed. She was already anxious. It couldn't be that she couldn't win against Su Yan, right? Shut up. The Tiangang King glared at Luan Monli. With a roar of anger, Luan Monli's body was half crippled. She was blasted through the air and smashed into a mountain before fainting. Many people were stunned. What was going on? Su Yan was definitely a powerhouse among powerhouses. How could he be questioned and belittled by a mere Luan Monli? The Tiangang King revered those unrivaled powerhouses of his generation the most. But he also discovered that targeting Su Yan was a mistake. He had an absolute foundation that allowed him to show disdain for the world. Come! The Tiangang King clenched his fists. His bronze body seethed with the light of blood energy, drowning out the starry skies. Even the heavens and earth shook as if they were pulsating. Bao Kai was amazed. This Tiangang King's body was truly abnormal. His foundation was too extraordinary. As you wish. Su Yan's long hair danced in the wind. His body suddenly became much more terrifying. With a raise of his hand, the heavens and earth trembled. The source of blood energy that filled the skies completely collapsed. He punched out, and it was like a bolt of thunder exploding, shattering the universe. This region was destroyed. The Tiangang King felt as if he had fallen into purgatory. His bronze body that he was so proud of shook violently. He couldn't withstand it and was about to shatter into pieces. Puff! He trembled and spat out a mouthful of blood. The strength contained in this punch was like the universe itself. It pressed down on the Tiangang King's body, causing his body to break apart. He was sent flying through the air and smashed into the mountain, causing the earth to shake violently. Third update, brothers. Chapter 1944. He was heavily injured with a single punch. The heavens and earth were extremely silent. They originally thought that the Tiangang King would be able to teach Su Yan a lesson. Who would have thought that once this person went berserk, the Tian King wouldn't even be able to withstand a single punch? How could it be so ridiculous? The core members of the Celestial Cavern all trembled as goosebumps rose all over their bodies. How could it be so ridiculous? Such combat prowess was enough to rank him among the strongest in the Celestial Cavern. The Tian King's body was torn apart, and his entire body was covered in blood. He crawled up from the pool of blood and stared unblinkingly at Su Yan. Do you still want to continue? Su Yan slowly walked on the battlefield. He had the belief of being invincible under the heavens. He roamed the mountains and comprehended the Tao in the Copper Palace, comprehending the essence of the body cultivator lineage. Once the great treasure of the human body erupted, he would be invincible. This was a true state of being undefeatable. Otherwise, the inheritance of the first mountain would not have remained unharvested for so long. The Tiangang sovereign happened to run into Su Yan in his strongest state on the path of body cultivators. Come! The Tiangang King roared. His blood-stained body emitted a strong demonic aura, as if he had crawled out from hell. He still wanted to fight. This person's physique was instantly unsealed. Billowing astral winds gushed out. Each of them was extremely thick, as if they could bind a true dragon. A torrential astral windstorm was born, and its killing power reached 100,000 feet. This was the power that the Tiangang King was proud of. Once his physique was activated, his combat prowess would skyrocket. It could be said that he would enter a berserk state for a short period of time. One couldn't help but say that the shocking overlords of the Celestial Cavern were all extremely powerful. This Tiangang King's cultivation of the body had reached the point of perfection. If he could comprehend the body cultivator lineage, he would have great accomplishments in the future. Boom! The astral winds were boundless, forming a vast ocean. The pressure caused the laws of heaven and earth to tremble. This entire world was changing shape. Come again! The Tiangang King roared. He was truly extremely valiant. The astral winds that filled the sky came crashing down, making him look like a supreme overlord. His palms slammed down with the force of Mount Tai. One could faintly see a terrifying giant hand tearing through the starry sky. In an instant, the energy in Su Yan's body exploded. He was like a dormant ancient dragon, causing the entire world to become blurry and dark. He seemed to have transformed into a war god that was looking down on the world. That is, everyone trembled. Some didn't even dare to look straight at Su Yan. What kind of power was this? It was so powerful that it made them tremble, as if they had met the king of their lives. At this moment, Su Yan's chi and blood were golden. His divine might was vast and mighty, like the return of a deceased human sovereign. He lifted his hand and crushed the astral chi storm, slamming it down onto the Tiangang King's body. Dong, dong, dong. Tiangang King staggered backwards, retreating several dozen steps. Everyone was stunned. The Tiangang King was sent flying again? His strongest battle constitution had been unsealed, but he was still sent flying so easily, which meant that they weren't on the same level at all. They felt as if they were dreaming. This was the Tiangang King they were talking about, yet he was defeated so miserably. The equaling heavens Saint King was much more terrifying than they had imagined. Had he cultivated an invincible physique? This kid is not simple. Invincible physique, unimaginable. A group of elders in the distance had solemn expressions. Although Su Yan had only unleashed his power for an instant, they still saw his face clearly. His terrifying strength tore through the sky. If he hadn't shown mercy, the Tiangang King would have been killed directly. Immortal Cave, Emperor Star. In a chaotic palace suspended above the 9 heavens, the atmosphere was majestic. Primal chaos pervaded the air, like the palace of emperors. It was hazy, and one after another, terrifying figures were faintly discernible in the primal chaos. The Phoenix King and the old monkey were furious. Su Yan's achievements were too high, but some immortal elders were still reluctant to let Su Yan participate in the great war of immortals and demons. Moreover, The Thunder Immortal Elder had called for reinforcements. The Xian people and other forces sent experts over one after another. In short, the Reincarnation Emperor race and the others were determined not to let Su Yin take too much risk. Once he obtained supreme glory, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to deal with him in the future. At this moment, an expert rushed in from outside the palace and said a sentence, which made the Phoenix King and the old monkey laugh. The Tiangang King was heavily injured by a single punch. An immortal elder thought that Su Yin lacked a great divine ability to protect himself. Now, his expression changed. Defeating the Tiangang King with a single punch, this wasn't an ordinary battle prowess. He was among the strongest in the Immortal Cave. There were many discussions in the palace. After all, most of the Immortal Elders still regarded the Great War of Immortals and Demons as their top priority. Su Yan's battle prowess made them pay attention. Some of the Immortal Elders changed their stance and started to support Su Yan. Bastard. Lei Xian Elder's expression was gloomy. Su Yan had killed his son. It would be strange if he could spare Su Yan. Even if he did not act on the surface, was it still difficult to suppress Su Yan's growth in secret? But this person was getting stronger and stronger. One had to know that once the Great War of Immortals and Demons was won, all participants would receive shocking rewards. Even if Su Yan wasn't in the Immortal Cave, he would still receive a huge amount of resources as a reward. Just the points alone were as high as tens of millions. At this moment, the Tiangang King's body was trembling. He knelt on one knee and looked at Su Yan with a fanatical gaze. Did you really break through the ultimate trial ground? Many people were stunned. They didn't believe that Su Yan had really broken through. In fact, they had some prejudice in their hearts. They didn't think that people from a human world could break through the nightmare difficulty of the first mountain. After all, very few people had done it in the past. If you've been there before, you should know, Su Yan replied. The Tiangang King smiled bitterly. He had indeed been there before. He had survived because of himself, but no one knew about this. This was the most shameful thing for the Tiangang King, because he hadn't even stayed on the mountain for 10 breaths of time. That incident back then had a huge impact on the Tiangang King. Therefore, he paid special attention to the participants who had broken through the ultimate trial ground. But did Su Yan pass or not? This was a problem. If the Thunder Immortal Elder hadn't suppressed it, the news would have spread like wildfire. You still want to continue? Some people were shocked. Even some elders couldn't sit still. They wanted to say, Tiangang King, why don't you leave? Don't embarrass yourself here. You represented the core area and fought Su Yan, but you ended up losing miserably. The Tiangang King came in front of Su Yan and cupped his hands. He solemnly said, Can I follow by your side? He didn't have enough confidence to say this. His voice was also very low. It was a bit shameful to say it. He had clearly wanted to suppress Su Yan, but now he chose to follow Su Yan. The people nearby were dumbfounded. Many people's faces twitched. They didn't know what to say. Some people also felt embarrassed for the Tiangang King. What the F***CK was this? Especially the one who asked the Tiangang King to teach Su Yan a lesson. His face was swollen, and he wished he could find a hole to hide in. As a key disciple of the Immortal's Cave, the Tiangang King actually chose to follow Su Yan, who was temporarily staying in the Immortal's Cave. If this news were to spread, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. In fact, the Tiangang King was very clear in his heart. The competition in the Immortal's Cave was very cruel. He, the Tiangang King, had participated in the Great War of the Immortals and Demons, but he didn't win. If it wasn't for the previous incident, the Tiangang King would have left the Immortal's Cave long ago. The Immortal's Cave wouldn't allow an Overlord who couldn't continue to grow his potential to stay in the Immortal's Cave and waste resources. This was a cruel fact that had to be accepted, especially for a peerless figure like the Tiangang King. He didn't have a strong tribe to support him. Once he couldn't continue to grow his potential, he was destined to be eliminated. In the history of the Immortal's Cave, there were many similar incidents. Once a person's growth reached the limit, they couldn't progress any further. If they couldn't win the great war of the immortals and demons, they weren't qualified to hibernate in the immortals' cave for generations. You're not suitable. Suyin was also shocked. He shook his head and refused. The Tiangang king scratched his head anxiously. He was also a simple-minded person who specialized in the path of body cultivation. Even he couldn't touch the profound meaning of the human body's treasures. However, Su Yin was qualified. In the Tiangang king's heart, Su Yin was more important than the guidance given by the Immortals Cave's Elder Xian. I'll work hard, the 7-foot-tall Tiangang king said with a red face. He didn't feel embarrassed at all. Some of the elders almost fell to the ground and cursed. King Tiangang king. Can't you have some backbone? Didn't you see that Su Yin had rejected him just now? We can spar normally. Su Yin saw that the Tiangang king was thirsty for talent and couldn't bear to reject him. His impression of the Tiangang king improved a lot. He didn't resent the fact that his skills were inferior. Instead, he chose to work hard. In short, this person was much stronger than the arrogant and despotic people he had met. Good. When the time comes, I hope Brother Su won't be stingy with your guidance. The Tiangang king laughed excitedly, making the people around him speechless. They really didn't know what to say. Some people wanted to say, Tiangang king, can you still have some dignity? It was like a farce, ending in such a ridiculous way. Similarly, with Su Yan's peak level, most likely no one would come to challenge him. Once he lost, it would be a huge loss of face. When do you think we should start? The Tiangang king was very anxious. Su Yan glanced at him and said, What's the hurry? Tell me about the celestial dragon realm. I want to go and explore it. Some of the cultivators who were preparing to leave were shocked. Su Yan wanted to go to the celestial dragon realm. This was the hardest challenge of the Immortals Cave. It specifically targeted the physical body. In the history of the Immortals Cave, the number of experts who broke through the celestial dragon realm could be counted on one's fingers. How long do you think Su Yin needs to spend to break through the celestial dragon realm? Someone asked in a low voice. They didn't think that Su Yin couldn't pass the celestial dragon realm, because the Tiangang king was already very close to passing the celestial dragon realm. Then Su Yin shouldn't have much difficulty, right? Hard to say. The reward for breaking through the celestial dragon realm is not little. Some people were envious. Su Yin already had 1,000,000 points. Once he broke through the celestial dragon realm, the reward would be more than 1,000,000 points. Even the faster the time, the more points he would get. After all, this was one of the strongest test grounds of the Immortals Cave. The points given for passing it were massive. Even if he failed, he could still get a certain amount of points as a reward. According to legend, once the record of the celestial dragon realm was broken, the points obtained would be an outrageous 2,000,000. It was really scary. But who could do it in the past? One must know that the record of the celestial dragon realm was left behind by the princess. Su Yin, why are you going to break through the celestial dragon realm? At this time, a figure with boundless divine might rushed over. The nearby elders all went pale, and they all stepped forward to pay their respects. The primal chaos immortal elder had arrived. This was a heavyweight. He looked at Su Yin with his hazy primal chaos eyes. Given Su Yan's potential, there was no need for him to waste it on the training grounds. He should have gone straight to the Technique Inheritance Hall to cultivate a series of peerless divine abilities. Immortal Demon War was about to start. Su Yin most likely didn't master too many peak secret techniques. He should cherish the remaining time. Reporting to Chaos Immortal Elder, Su Yin cupped his hands and said, The expert of the Technique Inheritance Hall said that I must pass the Celestial Dragon Realm to be qualified to cultivate the Supreme Dragon Wrestling Technique. Chaos Immortal Elder's face turned gloomy and asked, You didn't tell the Technique Inheritance Hall Master that it was me who gave you the authority? Baokai rushed out and said, Chaos Immortal Elder, that Xianzhe Sheng said that you were negligent. The treatment given to Su Yin is not in accordance with the rules. All right, he isn't the Technique Inheritance Hall Master. He seems to be the Vice Hall Master. What did you say? Chaos Immortal Elder's face changed greatly. This made Su Yin and the rest's expression particularly interesting. A small vice hall master dared to disobey him. Who is Xian Zhisheng? What kind of dog is that? Chaos Immortal Elder was furious. The entire area was trembling. He believed that Bao Kai wouldn't lie. Delivered at 4 p.m. Chapter 1945. The earth quaked and the mountains shook. The universe turned dark. Everyone trembled and couldn't stand still. How could they resist the anger of a Chaos Immortal Elder? They couldn't breathe. He was really angry. Thunder Immortal Elder had disrupted the order of the first mountain, which had already made him unhappy. Thunder Immortal Elder had also brought a group of people to refute the new list. He had long been suppressing a ball of fire in his heart. But now, the treatment and status he gave Su Yin made him unable to even enter the Technique Inheritance Hall. This infuriated the Chaos Immortal Elder. Could it be that the fifth Immortal Elder had lost his authority and was reduced to a mass of air? Preposterous. Who was Xianzhisheng? That's right. Why would the Chaos Immortal Elder pay attention to a small Xianzhisheng? He was an immortal king of a generation and was extremely dignified. He was the fifth Immortal Elder of Immortal Elder Academy. Even if Technique Inheritance Hall's Immortal Elders came, these primal Chaos Immortal Elders wouldn't give them any face. After all, the Immortal Elders in Immortal Elder Academy were the 10 great Immortal Elders. The other Immortal Elder statuses were much lower. Not all Immortal Elders were Immortal Kings. Although the Technique Inheritance Hall Master had great authority, it wasn't enough in front of the fifth Immortal Elder. Some elders mourned for Xianzhisheng. The Chaos Immortal Elder was clearly angry. He wouldn't allow his dignity to be trampled on. Now, he brought Su Yin to the Technique Inheritance Hall. Domineering. The Chaos Immortal Elder is too domineering. Bao Kai and the others laughed. Xianzhisheng made things difficult for Su Yin before. If he didn't have the furnace of suppression, he might have been targeted by this old thing. Now that the Chaos Immortal Elder stood up for Su Yin, the Technique Inheritance Hall would most likely change. Chaos Immortal Elder, are we going directly? Su Yin frowned. He had helped him on the first mountain, and that was already a big favor. He didn't expect him to be brought to the Technique Inheritance Hall. The Chaos Immortal Elder was too fast. He tore the sky apart with a raise of his hand. As he moved, the sky was filled with the light of time. The scene was grand and majestic, as if he was rushing along the sea of chaos. Every step he took, tenser. Therefore, in a few breaths, he arrived at the outer region of the Technique Inheritance Hall. Don't worry. The Chaos Immortal Elder's tone was cold. He said, Su Yin, you've passed the first mountain and broken through the ultimate trial ground. Although you don't want to join the Immortal Cave, you're going to the battlefield of immortals and demons. You should be given the best resources. This is a matter of utmost importance to our immortal world. Those who obstruct us will have to pay the price in blood. Su Yan's heart was filled with warmth as he asked, have the top 10 contestants been decided? There will be a result tomorrow. You don't have to worry. If nothing unexpected happens, you will be on the list. Chaos Immortal said, use this time to cultivate and master a few peerless abilities. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me at my cave abode. Thank you, Chaos Immortal Elder. I'm relieved to hear that. Su Yin calmed down. The Immortal Cavern was not under the control of Thunder Immortal Elder and the others. As long as Su Yin could play an important role in the Immortal Devil battlefield, he would be able to obtain a massive amount of resources. This was without a doubt. After all, if he won, how prestigious would that be? He would directly become a legendary figure. Go, I'll see who dares to stop you. The Chaos Immortal Elder waved his sleeve and shot out an energy substance that penetrated Su Yan's flesh and blood. In an instant, Su Yan's aura became countless times more terrifying. It was as if he had turned into a giant dragon that looked down on the world. He was filled with indescribable power. This, Su Yin was shocked. The Chaos Immortal Elder had such a powerful ability. After all, he was a Daesung. However, the Chaos Immortal Elder's magic power was perfectly integrated into his body. This was caused by the earth-shattering Dao fruit, and Su Yin could perfectly withstand it. He couldn't help but be shocked. The immortal king was too powerful after all. A casual move had raised Su Yin to a terrifying realm. Su Yin was full of confidence and once again went to the inheritance hall. "Why are you here again?" Xianhong's injuries hadn't healed yet. When he saw Su Yin, his expression changed. He directly took out a battle spear and pointed it at Su Yin. He shouted, "Didn't I tell you that only by going to the celestial dragon realm can you be qualified to cultivate the supreme fighting dragon technique?" A large number of guards also stood out. Their faces were faintly unpleasant. After all, Xian Zhisheng was also severely injured by Su Yan's furnace of suppression. Who would have thought that Xian Zhisheng would suffer a great loss in the hands of Su Yan? Now, Su Yan was here again. His black hair draped over his shoulders, and his eyes were deep. He walked step by step toward the inheritance hall. "Stop right there." Xianhong was furious. The battle spear in his hand glowed and surged with imperial killing intent. He roared, "Su Yin, how dare you barge into the inheritance hall? Why can't I go to the inheritance hall?" Su Yan's words were like thunder, echoing between heaven and earth. His spirit soared, and the might of an expert surged. He shouted, "Even if I, Su Yin, don't cultivate the supreme fighting dragon technique, I am qualified to cultivate other secret techniques. Why can't I come to the technique inheritance hall?" The Chaos Immortal Elder nodded. Su Yin was reasonable and wouldn't use his talent to bully others. This was very much to his liking. If it wasn't for the fact that his Dao technique wasn't suitable for Su Yin, he would have taken him in and nurtured him. "Su Yin, don't be unreasonable here." Xianhong sneered. "Don't think that we can't do anything to you just because you have an immortal king weapon. I'll tell you the truth, the inheritance hall won't be open to you unless you invite the Chaos Immortal Elder to open the way for you. Otherwise, this is your death zone. If you dare to take another step forward, I'll be angry." At the end, Xianhong laughed proudly. The face of the Chaos Immortal Elder who was entrenched in the void darkened. "You want me to open the way for Su Yin?" The Chaos Immortal Elder was furious that a puny emperor dared to be so arrogant. "Who do you think you are? You're still angry?" Su Yin walked step by step toward the inheritance hall. He was only 9 steps away from the door. With each step, his essence, qi, and spirit became stronger. Moreover, Su Yin didn't need the Chaos Immortal Elder's strength to deal with Xian Zhisheng and the other cultivators. He relied on his own strength. Su Yan's divine aura was vast and mighty. His eyes were filled with killing intent. His ferocious aura was too strong. Some of the guards were nervous and guilty. After all, this was against the rules. Were they really going to stop him? 3 more feet. Xianhong's eyes were bloodshot. The battle spear in his hand shone brightly like a mountain. He shouted, "Don't make a mistake, or I'll make sure you don't return." He took another step forward. Xianhong was completely furious. The battle spear in his hand shone as he roared, "This kid is crazy. Come with me to suppress him." He rushed over. His aura soared to the peak. Even the killing weapon in his hand was revived. He used his most powerful emperor's power. He didn't believe that he, a peak emperor, couldn't stop a puny Su Yin Daesong. "Kill!" The battle spear flew across the sky with surging, killing intent. He attacked in an instant, wanting to pierce Su Yan's chest. However, a hand suddenly reached out and grabbed the spear in an instant. Su Yan's aura exploded. It was as ferocious as a primeval beast. The great path of the heavens and earth trembled. The strongest combat power was being unsealed. This kid, the Chaos Immortal Elder's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. What kind of power was this? The Emperor's law of order in the sky exploded, but it couldn't resist the roaring power in Su Yan's body. It was hard to imagine that this was the power of a Daesong. It was amazing to cross a realm and defeat an Emperor's domain expert. Xianhong was a little frightened. What kind of power was this? His imperial battle spear had been grabbed, and he was unable to pull it out. Moreover, the boundless ferocious aura that Su Yin emitted had forcefully restrained his body. Vaguely, he seemed to see a blurry and supreme emperor behind Su Yin, a sovereign descending upon the world. Trash, is this all you've got? Su Yan's expression was cold. In his peak state, he was invincible. He suddenly raised his foot and stomped on Xianhong's head. How dare you? Xianhong's eyes were about to pop out. He wouldn't allow anyone to step on his head. But then he realized that Su Yan's ferocious aura was even stronger. It couldn't be changed. It was an invincible might that dominated the world. This stomp was unrivaled and unstoppable. It was as if the universe was pressing down on him. The pressure was earth-shattering. Blood gushed out as his body was torn apart. Xianhong screamed. His entire body was shaking, and his knees were bending. He knelt on the ground, trembling and wailing. He felt like he was going to die. Some passers-by were stunned. Is this a daysong? He suppressed Xianhong, an Emperor's Domain expert, with just a stomp. The Chaos Immortal Elder's eyes were very sharp. This simple move contained endless mysteries and sublimations. This meant that this kid's combat power was quite incredible. The Chaos Immortal Elder looked at Su Yan again. He saw that Su Yan was different from what he had imagined. He had gone through a lot. However, he remembered that Su Yan came from the human world, a small figure without any foundation in the celestial world. It was amazing that he could stand at such a height. Puff! Xianhong screamed. He couldn't resist. His body trembled as he knelt on the ground and wailed. He was about to die. Oh no, stop. In an instant, more than a dozen guards were furious. Su Yan was too arrogant, wasn't he? Suppressing law enforcement officers in the Skill Inheritance Hall, and even having the intention to kill them had undoubtedly infuriated them. More than a dozen experts charged out. Some formed fist seals, some took out artifacts, and some performed great theurgies. After all, more than a dozen Emperor's Domain experts had attacked. The area was completely chaotic. All kinds of destructive storms surged towards Su Yan. Boom! Su Yan stomped on the ground. In an instant, Xianhong's body exploded. Those who block me will die. Su Yan's blood chi surged. The entire Technique Inheritance Hall was shaking and rumbling. Nothing could stop him. His belief was boundless, and he could defeat all enemies. Especially when he had obtained the Human Emperor's Sutra, he had the belief that he could defeat the Emperor's Domain. What, that's? A group of guards who had resisted the urge to attack turned pale with fright. What kind of monster was this? Human Emperor or Demon Venerable? With a roar, boundless strength, and Tao techniques filled the sky. The great treasure of heaven and earth opened. It was like an emperor or a demon. The roar caused more than a dozen emperors to tremble. One after another, they were sent flying and smashed into the door of the hall. There were even some weaker emperors whose bodies were torn apart. Su Yan doesn't just walk the path of the physical body. At this moment, the Tiangang King also rushed over. His expression was shocked. More than a dozen emperors couldn't suppress Su Yan's strength. His combat strength was truly heaven-defying. Su Yan's black hair danced in the wind, and blood soared into the sky. With his combat strength alone, he could sweep through everything and kill until the place bled. A large number of guards trembled. What kind of ferocious person was this? He started a massacre. Wasn't he afraid of implicating himself in a huge disaster and paying with his life? He's rebelling. He's rebelling. A severely injured emperor roared. His eyes were bloodshot as he said, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and attack. Who dares to stop me?" Su Yan was no longer ethereal. His entire body was surging with killing intent. He had simply turned into a peerless god of war. Rivers of blood flowed under his feet, mountains of corpses and seas of blood. This was a natural phenomenon formed by his killing intent, but it contained the strongest and most domineering belief. One after another, the severely injured emperor screamed. They couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop him at all. Some experts' bodies were trampled by Su Yan. Some cultivators' heads were pierced by Su Yan's emperor's war spear. There were also emperors whose foreheads were shattered by him. The group of enforcers who hadn't attacked were frightened. Since ancient times, who dared to do this? Who dared to start a massacre at the entrance of the Technique Inheritance Hall? They couldn't believe the bloody scene in front of them. Was this real? Boom! In the next moment, Su Yan waved his fist and instantly destroyed the entire blood-stained hall door. Xianzhisheng, your grandpa Su is here. Get out here, Su Yan shouted angrily. He walked over in a pool of blood. His eyes were cold, and his killing intent was even stronger. He could kill all the creatures in the universe with a single thought. Xianzhisheng, who was recuperating in the Technique Inheritance Hall, was shocked. Who was Grandpa Su? Could it be a big shot from the Immortal Elder Academy? He didn't dare to delay and hurried out. Su! When he noticed that it was Su Yan, his eyes turned red and his face turned purple. He shouted, "You little bastard, who let you in? Old bastard, you can't spit out ivory from a dog's mouth." Su Yan stepped into the Technique Inheritance Hall and looked around. He shouted coldly, "These people blocked my way and I killed them all. You're full of nonsense." Xianzhisheng was furious. His eyes were fierce, and he walked out with murderous intent. He also felt uneasy. What was wrong with Su Yan? Did he have someone backing him up? Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to behave so atrociously here. But that shouldn't be the case. Even Phoenix King and the old monkey weren't immortal elders of the Immortal Elder Academy. As for Chaos Immortal Elders, they wouldn't make an enemy of Thunder Immortal Elder, right? Xian Hong is dead, a guard said with a trembling voice. What did you say? Xianzhisheng's body shook. He thought he heard wrong. Xian Hong was dead? Dead. Xian Hong was trampled to death by him. A guard pointed at Su Yan, and his hair stood on end. He repeated, "Trampled to death by him. Xian Hong is dead." Xianzhisheng was a bit stunned. After all, he was a terrifying being. He saw the scene of blood outside, and his killing intent surged like a tsunami. He shouted, "Xian Hong is dead. Su Yan, you're going to die with him." His eyes were red, and he wanted to kill someone. He was about to lose his mind. The Xian family was also a top family in the Imperial City. It was mainly because Xianzhisheng was in charge of the family. After all, he was a deacon of the Immortal Elder Academy. Although he wasn't an Immortal Elder, his status and position were too high. He had high hopes for Xian Hong, and he hoped that Xian Hong could become the successor of the family. After all, he was about to enter the Forbidden Realm. But Xian Hong was dead, and this made Xianzhisheng lose his mind. He roared and rushed over, using all his power to suppress Su Yan. "Ignorant old dog, you want to kill me with a higher realm? Grandpa, Su will suppress you with a flip of his palm." Su Yan waved his sleeve, and all kinds of unbelievable power were born. Chaotic divine waterfalls fell from the sky one after another, wrapped in the sun, moon, and stars, and the mysteries of chaos. It was like a sea of chaos built by the strongest law of order. It instantly pressed down, and the process became more and more intense. It contained the mysteries of chaos, and it filled the world with unparalleled killing intent. Suppress. Su Yan was as powerful as a chaotic saint. He waved his sleeve and attacked forward. Oh no, Xianzhisheng's expression changed drastically. He didn't forget the lesson of the furnace of suppression. He used all his power to resist Su Yan's killing intent. But what shocked him was that the aura in this sleeve rose again, shaking the universe. Even this forbidden creature couldn't help but feel scared, and his protective divine light collapsed layer by layer. Endless shadows of death shrouded over, with a scream, the sea of chaos covered his body, breaking all the bones in his body. His blood-stained body was directly sent flying, like a dead dog, and smashed into the door of the Technique Teaching Palace. Fifth update, brothers, a big chapter, tears begging for monthly votes, begging for rewards. Chapter 1946. How's that possible? The guards cried out in shock. This scene was a little shocking. They knew that Su Yan had the furnace of suppression and was not afraid of taboo experts. However, this person could unleash such earth-shattering power with a casual wave of his sleeve. These enforcers trembled in fear. Su Yan's killing of a group of sovereigns had already shocked them. However, he had crossed an insurmountable realm and suppressed a taboo expert. Su Yan definitely had someone backing him. Otherwise, he would not be so fearless. He suppressed the Deputy Hall Master of the Skill Inheritance Hall just like that. Who was his backer? One had to know that every deacon of the Immortal Elder Academy had a close relationship with Elder Xian. They could not be touched at will. Xianzhixing coughed up blood continuously. He looked terrible. The bones in his body were broken. His body fell close to the door. His trembling body was almost out of breath. He staggered to his feet. He was a little dizzy. His head was bleeding. When he saw Su Yin coming toward him, Xianzhixing screamed, "You little be***starred, how dare you attack me so ruthlessly? I can't let you live." Xianzhixing was driven crazy. If this spread, he would not be able to face anyone. After all, Xianzhixing was a taboo expert. When he went crazy, his entire body emitted billions of layers of divine might. It affected the universe and made it tremble. The immortal world was prosperous, and the cultivation level was extremely high. Usually, immortal kings looked down on the world, especially here in the imperial city. Taboo experts were not enough. However, taboo existences were still important figures. They could be called terrifying creatures. When they went crazy, the world rumbled and trembled. It affected even the distant world. Of course, Xianzhixing would not rush forward directly. He took out a token and activated the skill inheritance Hall's killing formation. This was a peak killing formation. Once activated, it would kill even gods and Buddhas. As long as it was not an immortal king, anyone who was trapped inside would be turned into ashes. Give me your life. Xianzhixing had really gone crazy. He activated the skill inheritance Hall's protective killing formation. The magnificent hall shone, revealing billions of killing sword rays that cut through the heavens and the 4 types of stars. Pinnacle killing formation. The energy fluctuations were too intense. The cultivators in the distant world were shocked. Billions of killing lights shot out from the source area. The moment they awakened with a howl, they cut through the sky and split the earth. The sky was filled with shards of the great Tao, and they all slashed furiously at Su Yin. If this happened in the outside world, even an ancient realm would not be peaceful. Fortunately, they were on the Emperor's Star, where the heaven and earth were impenetrable, so it did not cause too much destruction. Old thing, how dare you disrespect me? Grandpa Su will teach you how to behave. Su Yan's expression was cold as he pressed forward step by step. He wasn't afraid at all and allowed the killing intent to slash at him. His body seethed with chaotic light, as if a sea of chaotic stars was gushing out, melting the great stars in the universe and destroying the endless sword light. This was the power of impenetrability. Su Yin leaped over like a chaos war god and let out a loud roar. Both of his palms slammed forward at the same time, causing the cultivation hall to shake violently. The killing sword order in the sky was shattered. Bang, bang. The 2 palm prints were condensed from chaos and contained the immortal king Tao fruit. They were extremely grand and majestic, covering the entire cultivation hall. One could imagine how terrifying this was. The sky was trembling, and the universe was trembling. Kill! Su Yin roared. His palm slammed out, destroying all the killing order. In an instant, he attacked, causing Xianzhixing to fly backward. 2 bloody holes appeared in his chest, and his broken body slammed into the door of the hall, causing it to tremble violently again. The onlookers were stunned. What was going on? Who gave Su Yin the immortal king power in his body? This was definitely the power of an immortal king. It suppressed the killing formation of the cultivation hall and severely injured Xianzhixing again. No. Xianzhixing was terrified. Xianzhixing was a little frightened. He knew what kind of power Su Yin had. Who gave him the power of an immortal king? Could there be an immortal king around? Old dog, do you submit to Grandpa Su? Su Yin pressed forward and looked down at him. He directly raised his foot and stepped on Xianzhixing's chest. Ah, you little be***starred. Xianzhixing was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. It was a great humiliation to be stepped on by a Daesong. Since you're not convinced, I'll slap you. Su Yin picked up the severely injured Xianzhixing and slapped him left and right. Xianzhixing's old face was blooming, and it was too horrible to look at. Be***starred. Someone, call for help. Xianzhixing wailed miserably. Since the day he became the law enforcer of the cultivation hall, no one dared to treat him like this. Now that he was beaten up by Su Yin again, his body was rotten and his face was beyond recognition. The teeth in his mouth flew out. Su Yin's blood was boiling. Beating up an outlawed powerhouse was simply too satisfying. He suppressed Xianzhixing with the Chaos Dao fruit. The forbidden power burned in his broken body and slapped him one after another, causing the nearby people to be stunned. This was too explosive. One slap after another. If this spread out, Xianzhixing would be too ashamed to face anyone. Xianzhixing was so angry that smoke came out of his body, and he was about to explode. You still dare to stare at me? Su Yan grabbed his hair and beat him again. Cough. At this time, a light cough was heard. It contained an earth-shattering power, and it shocked Su Yan. A black-robed old man appeared in the cultivation hall. He frowned, and his old face was a little ugly, but he did not dare to do anything. He naturally saw that the Chaos Immortal Elders were nearby, and he would definitely be stopped if he attacked. Hall Master. Xianzhixing looked as if he had seen his savior. His bleeding mouth made a beast-like sound. It was too painful. He said, Hall Master, you're finally here. This guy broke into the cultivation hall and tried to steal the Peerless Supreme technique. Hall Master, quickly suppress him. You're still full of nonsense. It seems that the slap just now was not intense enough. Su Yan was furious. He raised his hand and slapped the top of Xianzhixing's head. Xianzhixing fainted, and his head was about to be separated from his body. The cultivation hall master's face trembled slightly. He took a deep breath and bowed to the void. He said, Chaos Immortal Elder, what brings you here? Although he was also an Immortal Elder, he was not an Immortal King. He was a powerful fake Immortal King, but he still had to maintain absolute respect in front of a Chaos Immortal Elder. Boom! The void rumbled. Very soon, primordial chaos filled the skies. Dao arts appeared, divine and majestic, like a giant gate of primordial chaos blooming. An ancient and terrifying Immortal King appeared. A pair of deep eyes stared at him as he coldly spoke. Since when can the Cultivation Inheritance Hall choose to ignore my orders? Am I muddle-headed? The Cultivation Hall Master felt a headache, and he was a little nervous. He cupped his hands and said, Chaos Immortal Elder, you must be joking. How can I ignore your orders? I just came here, and I don't know what happened. You're trying to shirk your responsibility. The Chaos Immortal Elder said coldly. A little Xianzhixing, without your orders, would dare to disobey me? The unconscious Xianzhixing woke up. The moment he saw the Chaos Immortal Elder, he couldn't breathe and fainted again. The technique imparting Palace Master smiled bitterly. He was here to denounce Su Yan. Thunder Immortal Elder had mentioned it to him at that time. He thought that the two of them had already discussed it in private, but who knew that the Chaos Immortal Elder had no idea at all and had even stood up for Su Yan. At the same time, this also meant that the Chaos Immortal Elder valued Su Yan. Let me give you a warning. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you're an Immortal Elder of Immortal Elder Academy. The rules of Immortal Cave, since ancient times, can't be broken or violated. Otherwise, who would dare to believe in Immortal Elder Academy? Who would respect the core organization of Immortal World? Seeing that he didn't answer, the Chaos Immortal Elder shouted, and the Cultivation Hall Master's body trembled. He endured the blood in his chest and swallowed it into his stomach. He said with a trembling voice, This Xianzhixing is too much. I think I should let you deal with him. The people around were dumbfounded. The Cultivation Hall Master surrendered directly. He couldn't bear the anger of the Chaos Immortal Elder. Xianzhixing was his right-hand man after all. Abandoning him directly was a nightmare for Xianzhixing. Tiangang King asked Bao Kai in private. After learning the inside story, he gasped and said in a low voice, They're too bold. What kind of existence is the Chaos Immortal Elder? The fifth Immortal Elder of Immortal Elder Academy is in charge of all the resources and secret realms outside Immortal Cave. Let Brother Su enjoy the treatment of the strongest seed, and they dare to refuse. In fact, even if it was someone else, the Chaos Immortal Elder wouldn't be able to sit still. This was a challenge to his authority. This was also telling the Cultivation Hall Master that he wasn't qualified to participate in the game of big shots. He didn't have the qualifications to secretly plot against them. If he didn't do it well, he would be burned and wouldn't even know how he died. No, the unconscious Xianzhixing woke up. He was in despair. The Chaos Immortal Elder stretched out a finger and pointed at his body. Ah! He cried out in despair. His body was broken. His life was cut, and his life aura was greatly damaged. He simply fell from a taboo to an emperor. His body was breaking apart. Throw him out. The Chaos Immortal Elder said coldly. Those who abuse their authority don't have the qualifications to become Immortal Elder Academy's deacon. Chase him out of Immortal Elder Academy as a warning. Uffed. Xian Saint was so angry he spat out a large mouthful of blood and fainted. He might as well have been beaten up by the Chaos Immortal Elder. In short, he had lost his identity. This was a huge matter. Back then, Xian family relied on Xian Saint to act tyrannically, provoking many people. Now that he had fallen to this state and provoked a Chaos Immortal Elder, one could imagine what would happen in the future. What kind of miserable fate would that be? His entire family might be implicated. The surroundings were in an uproar. He was directly crippled. This punishment was just too severe. F***CK. Some deacons wiped their cold sweat, frightened. This made them a bit scared. Once the Immortal Elder was angry, what were they? There were some who inwardly rejoiced. Fortunately, they didn't provoke Su Yan, or else their fates wouldn't be much better than Xian Saint's. Bao Kai called for Sky Dipper King to throw him out. Sky Dipper King hesitated slightly, and then he clenched his teeth, throwing Xian Saint out of Immortal Elder Academy. This was equivalent to showing his loyalty. In the future, he would stand together with Su Yan and the others. Xian Saint was crippled. Along the way, a great commotion was stirred up. When Thunder Immortal Elder received the news, he was truly furious. He slapped the table and released a thunderous roar. This was killing a chicken to warn the monkeys. The Chaos Immortal Elder is going too far. Thunder Immortal Elder's son was beaten to death by Su Yan, yet he, a Chaos Immortal Elder, is still so protective of Su Yan. Who doesn't know that the Skill Inheritance Palace Master was promoted by Thunder Immortal Elder? The Vice Palace Master was crippled, so the Skill Inheritance Palace Master's position was a bit unstable. The experts from Thunder Immortal Elder's bloodline were all furious. The Chaos Immortal Elder acted swiftly and decisively, crippling Xian Saint. This was undoubtedly a type of warning, and he didn't ask for Thunder Immortal Elder's opinion during the process. When the Phoenix King learned of this, he was greatly shaken. It seemed like the Chaos Immortal Elder attached great importance to Su Yan. At the same time, they didn't hold a position in Immortal Elder Academy, so it was hard for them to help Su Yan in Immortal Cave. Master with Su Yan's strength, if he wins in the Immortal Devil battlefield, it won't be anything good. There were experts from this bloodline kneeling outside. Thunder Immortal Elder was already furious, his face extremely overcast. His son, the Tenrai of Beach, came out of seclusion in this era, moreover paid a great price to complete the Tao, all for the sake of making him the #1 person in this era. This way, the future Tenrai of Beach, with his help, could also smoothly become an Immortal Elder of Immortal Elder Academy, inherit his identity and position, thus ensuring that this bloodline's influence in Immortal Cave would continue. Endless years passed like this. After all, back then, they were part of the bloodline that built Immortal Cave. If there was no successor, then the efforts their ancestors spent would be wasted. I didn't expect that a small Su Yan would make me so angry. I still can't let go of Little Lei's death, but he fell in the Immortal King bestowed battle. It was a fair battle, so it's not good for me to come out and suppress Su Yan too much to prevent others from talking behind my back. The Chaos Immortal Elder has already become serious. If we continue fighting, it will be detrimental to this old man's reputation. This is a stain on my future path as an Immortal Elder. Thunder Immortal Elder's expression was overcast. He still wanted to improve, become a second Immortal Elder, or even a great Immortal Elder. At this time, Thunder Immortal Elder closed his eyes, transmitting a sentence. Su Yan, this old man, originally wanted to give him a chance to become a talent, but since he doesn't know how to restrain himself, I think he shouldn't participate in the Immortal Devil Great Battle. Didn't the Dark Realm issue a challenge? Let the Empress and the others come out. Who was he? Immortal Elder Academy's third Immortal Elder. It could be said that he stood at the top of the pyramid of the immortal world. Regardless of identity or status, he was qualified to speak with a titled Emperor. The impact of this person's decision would be shocking. The experts of the Tenrai of Beak's lineage cried out in horror. Was the sky going to be turned upside down? If the Empress and the others were released, it was hard to imagine what kind of terrifying event would happen in the Immortal Cave. The protagonists of various eras would gather and fiercely collide. After all, people like the Empress had always been sealed in a Tao cave. Once the seal was lifted, the others would also come out, and this immortal demon great battle would be glorious to the extreme. In an ordinary immortal demon great battle, the Empress and the others would not come out at all, because once the Tao cave was unsealed, the price to reseal, it was too shocking. After all, people like them had to use the strongest sealing methods, not allowing a trace of potential to be lost. A perfect seal would definitely cost a great price. After all, it went against the order of the immortal world. Master, if we do this, will it threaten the Tenrai of Beach? Some experts hesitated. Wouldn't this steal the Tenrai of Beach's limelight? It's fine. My son Dalei has the potential to be invincible. He's not necessarily inferior to the Empress. Suyin can't stand out too much. Otherwise, the world will point at Suyin and say that he killed my son Little Lei and surpassed my son Dalei. Thunder Immortal Elder was very calm, and his words were very clear. There was no need to hide things from his own people. Although the Tenrai of Beach lost the battle for supremacy of the first mountain, the Tenrai of Beach did not stand at the peak of the Daesong. He was still breaking through in the land of fortune. In order to nurture the Tenrai of Beach, an unimaginable amount of wealth had been spent. It was equivalent to being nurtured by the heavens. In addition, after the Tao derivation, the Tenrai of Beach's level of strength was unimaginable. Once he could compete with the Empress and the others, the Tenrai of Beach prestige would be even greater. In fact, once the Empress and the others took action, Su Yin, the barbarian god, and the others would have to stand aside. They would not be able to participate in the immortal demon great battle with the Empress and the others. De Zhang. Chapter 1947. The Dark World has deployed another large army. They are crazy. The Celestial World will accompany them to the end. Kill. The 10 battlefields were filled with mountains of corpses and seas of blood. The ground was littered with corpses and seas of blood. Daesong roared and emperors fought with their lives on the line. Their battle cries shook the heavens and earth. This was a bloody battle between different races. There was no way out. They could only advance and kill their enemies. The Celestial World deployed various armies to reinforce them. The Dark World's attacks were getting more and more frightening. It had already exceeded the expectations of the various Celestial Sects commanders. Moreover, several years had passed, but the Dark World did not give them any time to breathe. The number of fallen soldiers was immeasurable. Every magnificent battlefield was filled with earth-shattering battles. There was no peaceful place. The boundless sky was dyed red with blood. The ground was filled with corpses, piled up like mountains. East Demon was riddled with wounds. After more than 10 years of bloody battle, his realm had long climbed to Daesong's level. He had already become one of the leading experts of the Celestial Phoenix Army. Originally, he only had 1,000 soldiers under his command. However, this person had accumulated monstrous battle achievements. His might was great in the third battlefield. Many stragglers came to join East Demon's command. Fan Jian was also powerful and prosperous. He attracted many people who admired him to join. Gradually, the army under East Demon's command reached 5,000 soldiers. This made the veterans of the Celestial Phoenix Army extremely happy. Back then, the Phoenix King had fought his way up step by step. He had fought for 10,000 years on the battlefield. He was a heaven-sent god. He was invincible and had gathered millions of soldiers during his heyday. East Demon exuded a terrifying demonic aura. He was majestic and intimidating. He held a spear dripping with blood. His eyes were like the 9 hells of purgatory. Fan Jian wanted to vomit when he saw corpses. After more than 10 years of bloody battle, he originally wanted to return to recuperate and participate in the First Mountains meeting. However, the Dark World had too many enemies. He had no choice but to stay and participate in the battle. Good news. Yang Hui was excited. He roared, "Brothers, listen up. Suyin dominates the First Mountain Summit." Dominates the First Mountain Summit, he roared continuously. Many soldiers of the celestial phoenix army were stunned. Then, they shouted in unison. Their roars rumbled and tore apart the blood-stained starry sky. This bloody battlefield rumbled and trembled. Ha ha! Suyin dominates the summit of the first mountain, while Baokai ranks fourth on the first mountain. The East Demon threw his head back and roared with laughter. This was truly a great thing. More than 10 years had passed, and he was constantly worried about Su Yin and the others. In fact, it wasn't just him. Tai Baokai had also ascended to the peak of the first mountain. In other words, Su Yin was already qualified to participate in the Great War of the Immortals and Demons. However, what Fan Jian found strange was, where was Zixia? There was also Bamboo Moon. After obtaining the Immortal King Dao fruit, the two of them were so quiet. Of course, these were secondary. The most important thing was that the monster Long Day Song had disappeared without a trace. East Demon felt that they were hiding their strength and biding their time. The people of the human realm couldn't be too bright. They had to hide what they needed to hide. Otherwise, the immortal realm would suspect that they had a powerful background behind them. Go back and tell the dark world that Su Yin will definitely participate in the battle, definitely. The immortal Phoenix army's fighting spirit was ignited. The army charged forward crazily, and their killing intent swept across millions of li. One had to know that during this time, the dark world was releasing intense dissatisfaction and anger towards the 10 great contestants that the Immortal Academy had sent out. This thoroughly angered the immortal realm. The dark world was too arrogant, saying that only the heavenly dragon girl was worthy of their attention, and that they didn't put the others in their eyes. When these words were heard by the commanders of the various immortal sects, they were all furious. At the same time, they felt a bit uneasy. The dark world was coming aggressively, and there was most likely a formidable peak overlord among them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have repeatedly asked the Empress and the others to participate in the battle. Were they going to devour all the final seeds of the immortal cave in one go? What does one Su Yin count for? He's just someone that my World King Beast wants to kill. Its target isn't some Su Yin, but the Heavenly Energy Kings group of peak experts. An expert from the dark world gave a cold reply. Tell the immortal cave, don't think that our dark world is joking. Otherwise, when the time comes, we'll lose 10 out of 10 battles. I think your immortal realm shouldn't participate in the great war of the immortals and demons in the future. Just admit defeat. Shameless boasting, hand over your life. East Demon roared loudly, and a ferocious aura erupted from his body. He was incredibly brave, and boundless holy power was released from his body. It swept across all directions, and he slaughtered his way through. He led the deity Phoenix army to launch a powerful counterattack and ruthlessly cut down their arrogance. Kill, we'll win every battle. Kill, we'll win every battle. Kill, we'll be invincible. A large number of warriors roared, and their blood boiled. The people in the nearby army were greatly shocked. In fact, the immortal realm had all kinds of geniuses, and the immortal cave was full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. In the 10 major battlefields, there were rarely any overlords or war gods. Once they appeared, they would be hunted down by the dark world. Hence, the East Demon was famous in the 3rd battlefield, and he was even a war king. The 10 major battlefields were in chaos one after another. The dark world was too arrogant, and the news they sent wasn't good, because they didn't know what the dark world's trump card was. This was a ridiculous thing that had never happened before. They were going to make the Immortal Cave's most powerful trump card that had been accumulated over the years come out. In the past, when the Immortal Devil Great War started, once the Empress and the others joined the battle, it would be a great threat to the Dark World. However, this time, the Dark World couldn't wait to have them join the battle, proving how serious the problem was. The storm was so fierce. If they really lost miserably, it would be a heavy blow to the Immortal World. Immortal Cave, Technique Inheritance Hall. The Chaos Immortal Elder was bold and decisive, not leaving any face for the Technique Inheritance Hall Master. He directly appointed a new Technique Inheritance Hall Vice Hall Master. This was his personal disciple, and he also held an important position in the Immortal Elder Academy. The Technique Inheritance Hall Master could only smile bitterly. He was in the wrong first. so he couldn't say anything and could only watch. Songhua brings Su Yin to receive the unmatched dragon wrestling technique inheritance. The Chaos Immortal Elder was clear about this unmatched physique technique. Very few in the Immortal Cave grasped this physique technique. With Su Yan's attainments in the physical body, once he grasped it, he would be like a tiger that had grown wings. Songhua's figure was tall, and he wore a black robe. He was imposing without being angry. He had received many inheritances from the Chaos Immortal Elder, and his entire body was faintly emitting chaos heavenly might. He was a peak Forbidden Realm expert. He looked at Su Yin. To be valued by the Chaos Immortal Elder, this person must be extraordinary. Thank you, Chaos Immortal Elder. Senior Songhua, please take care. Su Yin hesitated for a moment, and then said, I want to wait for tomorrow's ranking. Hearing this, the Chaos Immortal Elder smiled and transmitted, You don't have to worry. There were many Immortal Elders who supported you in the meeting just now. Tiangang King is not weak after all. Once the great Immortal Demon War began, it would be a major event in the Immortal world. Once one won, the rewards would be terrifying. Tens of millions of points were nothing. The most important thing was that one could use any Immortal Cave to cultivate. Moreover, the Immortals Cave's various peerless powers would also give a great discount. The Supreme Dragon Wrestling Technique was not the most expensive. There were hundreds of peerless great powers in the Immortals Cave, and some terrifying secret techniques would easily cost hundreds of thousands of points to cultivate for a day. This also led to many confident young overlords fighting to participate in the great Immortal Demon War of the past. Although the risk was great, once one won, the rewards would be amazing. If one could get the support of a group of Immortal Elders, it would not be difficult to participate. Songhua frowned slightly. Wasn't Su Yin a little too confident? One had to know that among the top 10 participants in the Great Immortal Demon War, Tiandao King and the others were first-class experts, ranked among the strongest in the immortal world. Of course, he also admired Su Yan's determination to participate in the war. It fostered an invincible belief, and the future path of an expert would be smooth. At this moment, Songhua held the Vice Hall Master's token in his hand, and opened the unmatched Dragon Wrestling Technique Cultivation Secret Technique. Only two. Songhua was speechless. These two tokens were worth 200,000 points, and he suggested that Su Yin continue to exchange for a few more. I've spent them all. Songhua was speechless and could not be bothered to explain to Su Yin. He knew that the fastest to cultivate the unmatched Dragon Wrestling Technique was the Heavenly Dragon Lady, who took a full 6 days. However, the Heavenly Dragon Lady was a dragon race expert and was very suitable for cultivating the unmatched dragon wrestling technique. On the other hand, if Su Yin wanted to cultivate it, he would need at least 1,000,000 points. This was a terrifying amount of wealth. Su Yin had arrived and stepped into the dusty, ancient stone hall. The hall door was shut tight. Su Yin's black hair draped over his shoulders, and the Chaos Immortal Elder's power dissipated on its own. He returned to normal and instantly felt an extremely shocking pressure. The stone hall had a very strong sense of pressure, and it did not originate from the stone hall itself, but from the pitch-black and tall metallic man standing inside. Su Yan's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. The path of puppetry? The pitch-black metallic man's body was huge, and it stood before him like a black, demonic mountain. This deterrence alone was enough to shock the world. Su Yin walked closer to observe. His heaven's eyes were blazing brightly. Soon, he could see that the surface of the black metal man was covered in dense symbols. The symbols were so dense that they seemed to be filled with a destructive tide. Su Yin could almost instantly see where the metallic man's energy was. The sky was covered in dense patterns, and it was extremely profound. Ordinary experts would need a long time to see through the unmatched dragon wrestling technique. However, Su Yin was different. He had obtained a great opportunity in the Copper Hall, and Su Yin immediately saw through the mystery of the black metallic man's existence. This was definitely the effort of an expert among experts. It was inscribed with blood. No wonder it required 100,000 points to observe for a day. After all, the observation process would deplete the power of the inscribed supreme art. Every day was extremely important. When Su Yin saw the entire picture, the black metallic man had changed. It was like a heavenly devil, the overlord of heaven and earth. It emitted an unparalleled power that could easily destroy the universe. Boom! Su Yin sensed the terrifying danger of death. It was like a dormant demon master breaking through. It was so powerful that heaven and earth trembled. Endless deterrence swept through Su Yan's body and mind. No wonder he needed to pass through the celestial dragon realm to be qualified to cultivate the unmatched dragon wrestling technique. This supreme art was so weak that he was not qualified to explore it. What a powerful secret art! Su Yan's eyes flashed with surprise. This was a body art? A terrifying aura erupted from a body. Unmatched dragon wrestling technique, first move. The metallic man's body was filled with unmatched power. The dense patterns covering his flesh stirred up his most primitive divine power. The heavens and earth were shaking as if they were completely destroyed. The pressure was terrifying. If Su Yan's body was not so strong, he would have a hard time standing still. In his eyes, the black metallic man's body was terrifying, and it filled the world. With a loud roar, the sky would crack, and the boundless earth would collapse. This was almost a state of madness, and it originated from the divine power bestowed upon him by the profound meaning of the body art. Unmatched dragon wrestling technique, second move. In an instant, the heavens and earth changed. The aura of destruction bloomed, and the murderous intent was boundless. This was a kind of boundless power that could even kill a true dragon and pierce through the heavens. The black metallic man roared, and the energy in his body surged. Layer after layer rose from the ground like a tsunami and rushed toward the outer verse. Boom! This terrifying scene was like returning to prehistoric times, arriving at a time when the heavens and earth were in chaos. The black god of war roared, and his indestructible body was like a super-killing machine. The sky was filled with corpses, and the true dragon's body was broken. It could be said that there was nothing it could not break. With his indestructible body, he could crush everything. Unmatched dragon wrestling technique, third move. Su Yin said each word in a low voice. His blood was boiling as he saw a peerless demon with a blazing figure behind him that looked down on the vast universe. The third move was even more murderous. It filled the entire world and made people tremble. Su Yin roared. He was not afraid of the deterrence. Instead, his blood began to boil with the battle intent of the unmatched dragon wrestling technique. Kill! This person roared, and the heavens and earth resonated. The whole world was shaking toward him. If this was in the outside world, it would be like the universe was rumbling and the world was spinning. It penetrated his body, and his tyrannical combat power soared by a large margin. Every attack he waved was difficult to distance. The pressure surged, spread, and finally pressed down. It made Su Yin feel suffocated. This was the great power contained in the human body. It could push back tens of thousands of enemies, make the heavens and earth bleed, and the great Tao wailed. The true dragon's body fell from the sky, as if it had descended upon the world of immortals. This was a truly flawless, peerless ability. Between the heavens and earth, the destructive aura was gradually extinguished. The black metallic man gradually returned to a state of silence. He only had the chance to evolve the unmatched dragon wrestling technique once a day. He had to rely on himself to comprehend the rest. The unmatched dragon wrestling technique had a total of 3 killing moves. The first move targeted the strength of the flesh. In fact, the first level of cultivation of the flesh would increase tremendously. After all, this was a combination of the mysterious and unfathomable power of the body, and the treasure of the human body was revealed. This was not the first time Su Yin came into contact with the inheritance of a body technique. However, the heavenly palm was too extraordinary. It contained the supreme profundity of operating the heavens. Speaking of which, Su Yin had not cultivated any body technique until now. However, Su Yin was already familiar with the profundity of body techniques. What he had gained in the 3 years in the Copper Hall had already changed part of the direction of Su Yin's future path of becoming a powerful expert. His eyes were blazing as he looked at the metallic puppet. The dense patterns on the surface of the puppet's body formed one after another. As he looked at them, they seemed to have turned into humanoid war gods. They looked vivid and lifelike. The one who inscribed the unmatched dragon wrestling technique must be a peerless expert. While he was looking at them, he had to endure a great pressure. At the same time, the profundity of the human body's treasure was also described. It caused Su Yan's qi and blood to surge violently. Su Yan sat cross-legged between the heavens and earth. His body glowed from time to time. His qi and blood surged from time to time. His flesh shell flashed with resplendent patterns. If an outsider saw this scene, they would definitely be shocked. Su Yan had only just started to observe, and he had already sorted out part of the profundity. This was naturally closely related to the inheritance he had obtained in the Copper Hall. It had laid a strong foundation for Su Yan. Another great chapter. Chapter 1948. Body arts contain the mysteries of the human body. The Supreme Dragon Wrestling Technique was a first-class ability. Su Yan observed, deduced, and put it into practice. Buzz! Su Yan's body shone with divine light. It was as if a strange radiance was surrounding his body. It was also as if imprints were branded on his body. These were special engraved patterns. They were in pieces and looked like complicated words being inscribed. It was as if they were turning into heavy armor. They were hazy with mysterious radiance. They were colorful and mysterious. The more Su Yan inscribed, the more majestic the aura emitted from his body. His flesh and blood were trembling. Layers of unique engraved patterns seemed to have penetrated his bones and blood, trying to penetrate his entire body. Body arts contain the mysteries of the human body. The engraved patterns in the sky were like special scriptures that were being recited. The deeper he comprehended, the more he could discover the mysteries contained in these engraved patterns. It affected Su Yan's flesh and blood, causing his body to glow constantly. In the end, it was burning like a big furnace. His flesh and blood was becoming somewhat transparent. What's this? Su Yan thought to himself. He felt that he had changed. It was as if he had turned into a weapon. It was also as if he had turned into a great killing weapon that could pierce through heaven and earth. There was a kind of comprehension and also a kind of incomprehension. It was like a flash of inspiration in his mind. Then, it slowly returned to nothingness. In an instant, Su Yan's body was blazing to the extreme. It was as if he had turned into an immortal sun. It lay in the middle of the stone hall, illuminating heaven and earth. It was about to erupt with unparalleled heavenly power, shatter the shackles of heaven and earth, and destroy the universe and starry sky. Roar! Su Yan's body was emitting dragon roars. Brilliant light rushed out of his pores. It was as if 10,000 dragons had left their bodies. His flesh and blood was as if it was made out of gold. It was filled with a strong sense of power. It actually contained an indestructible power. He was like a golden creature that looked extremely powerful and domineering. What a powerful body art! Su Yan's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Body arts were too mysterious. He had clearly comprehended the profoundness, but he could not tell what it was. Everything was hidden in the body, like the most instinctive and primitive power of a human, and it belonged to him. Su Yan felt that all of this wasn't the first strike of the supreme fighting dragon technique. Instead, it was the least strength that belonged to him. Then, the supreme fighting dragon technique dissipated, and Su Yan returned to normal. He suddenly stood up, and his body suddenly glowed. It was a dazzling golden light, as if he was a living emperor. His body was blazing like an immortal sun, emitting a world-shaking aura. The energy in his body is burning, and the treasures are operating. It's as if they have turned into battle armor. Su Yan took out a day-sewn weapon and slashed at his arm, but it did not even leave a mark. The day-sewn weapon immediately broke apart. Su Yan was moved. This was a physical technique. Once one grasped it, they would be able to activate the body's treasures and obtain a sufficiently powerful physique. Physical techniques are broad and profound. They originate from one's own body. He exclaimed. He did not know what kind of person had created this physical technique. It contained unimaginable effects and was almost equivalent to an invincible body. In short, he could enter the physical technique state at will. His body shone with a golden brilliance and contained a terrifying power. Cultivating the supreme fighting dragon technique was only the first stage. Only by mastering it could one be qualified to master the Tao of Slaughter. In short, he was at the entry level of the supreme fighting dragon technique. He calculated that half a day had passed. Suyin knew very well that this fast mastery had something to do with the Yuntian palm. Soon, he focused his attention on the Metal Man. The first form was fully activated, which stimulated the Metal Man to unleash the second form. If that's the case, the second level is even more profound, but can only be derived from the foundation of the first level. Suyin thought to himself as he pondered over the second transformation. He realized that no matter how the supreme fighting dragon technique evolved, it was inextricably linked to the Yuntian palm. This surprised Suyin. He murmured, "Perhaps the Yuntian palm contains all the mysteries of physical techniques. That's why it's so difficult to understand and comprehend." At this moment, Suyin finally understood the value of the heavenly revolving palm. Just by understanding it, it was like becoming a grandmaster of the body technique lineage. With regard to the body technique series' secret techniques, one could understand everything. Therefore, the speed at which Suyin grasped it was extremely fast. The more he deduced, the more shocking the storm that surged from his blazing golden body was. There was a terrifying feeling of power leaking out, and the chi and blood all over his body became vast and mighty. Boom! The golden chi and blood surged like a burning furnace. It exploded fiercely and filled the entire stone hall. When it came down, it was so vast that it could cover the mountains and rivers of the universe. Suyin was no longer ethereal. He contained a peerless, domineering aura. His entire body surged with the light of chi and blood. It was as if he had turned into a golden tsunami. Layer by layer, he was going to destroy the universe. Roar! Suyin looked up to the sky and roared. The golden divine power on the ground surged violently and soared into the sky. It was as if the nine heaven starry sea was pouring into the nine heavens. It was filled with unparalleled power. Supreme dragon wrestling technique. Suyin became stronger and stronger. In the blink of an eye, he had completely changed. His aura became grand and majestic. He suddenly rose from the ground like a jade-like comet that could strike the ends of heaven and earth. What a powerful secret technique. Suyin laughed loudly. He struck the heavens and earth. The stone hall was heavy and ancient. It could withstand the impact of Daesung's power. The sky was filled with deafening divine sounds. Suyin exploded with all his might. He only felt carefree and unrestrained. It was as if the treasures of the human body were fully activated. Suyin's greatest advantage was unleashed. It was also as if he had blasted open the shackles and could freely roam between heaven and earth. However, Suyin soon discovered a problem. In the state of the body technique, his body's consumption was huge. It was like burning one's life in battle. The longer one maintained the peak state, the more serious the damage to the human body would be. This surprised Suyin. Could this be the reason for the decline of the body cultivator lineage? Heaven and earth could no longer satisfy the needs of this lineage. It could only slowly decline until now. Suyin felt that this was very likely. After all, the ancestors of the Emperor clan in the wilderness specialized in body cultivation. Now that the clan had changed their cultivation path, the barbarian god still believed in the glory and pinnacle of the body cultivator lineage. Otherwise, he would not have risked his life to climb the mountain. The mysterious skeleton had once said that the environment of the immortal world was not as good as before. This meant that there were fewer spiritual items. Body cultivators needed large amounts of supplements to strengthen themselves and maintain their cultivation. Was this why this lineage was slowly declining? However, Suyin's foundation was strong. He could maintain the state for a long time and was not worried about his losses being too great. The supreme fighting dragon technique is already strong enough. I'll find a chance to cultivate other secret techniques. The Immortal's Cave has many peerless divine abilities. There might be some that can suppress the supreme fighting dragon technique. Suyin thought to himself. No one would complain about having too many divine abilities. There was no harm in having more. The Immortal's Cave had a large number of peerless inheritances. Although it required a large amount of points, he could always accumulate them by exploring some training grounds. The first day has passed. I wonder if he's seen through the first level? Songhua had been waiting outside for Suyin for a day and a night. Although Songhua had not come into contact with the supreme fighting dragon technique, according to his understanding, the second level of the supreme fighting dragon technique had reached the second level. It was said that the Heavenly Power King had not comprehended the supreme fighting dragon technique. It was said that the Heavenly Power King had not comprehended the third level. This showed how difficult it was to cultivate this secret technique. Very few disciples in the Immortal's Cave would choose to cultivate this body technique. According to his understanding, this body technique was very difficult to cultivate. The first level was easy, but the second level was difficult. Su Yan had only exchanged for it for 2 days. Songguo was worried for Su Yan. As for the third level, even the Heavenly Energy King found it difficult to comprehend. Perhaps it had something to do with one's cultivation realm. At this moment, Su Yan had already begun to cultivate the third level. This was the true core power of the divine ability. It could easily erupt with the power to kill a true dragon. It was ridiculously powerful. Every movement contained the power of heaven and earth, the great mysteries of the human body's treasury. The rankings have been decided. That day, the entire Immortal's Cave was in an uproar. The second ranking was decided. This was an extremely rare event. The 10 great battlefields frequently transmitted bad news. The Dark World had always been provoking the Immortal World. The Immortal Elder Academy could not sit idly by, or else it would affect the morale of the 10 great battlefields. They were not surprised that the Immortal Elder Academy decided to decide the rankings again. Even if the Phoenix King and the others did not appear, they would still decide the 10 great war god participants. A heaven-overflowing golden list flew out from the Immortal Elder Academy in an instant, directly rushing towards the Immortal's Cave. The instant it unfolded, a terrifying fluctuation was released. It was as if 10 great matchless war gods walked out from the list. How is this possible? All creatures were shaken. They cried out in alarm continuously. They felt a headache, and they were also alarmed. Soon after, their blood surged. Even the Sky Dipper King was scared stiff, his eyes widening. Bao Kai was shocked. His eyes scanned the entire list, and his expression quickly became ugly. The entire Immortal's Cave had already gone crazy. The various elders were all stupefied. Some of them even felt that the Immortal Elder Academy had gone crazy. Did he bring out all of his family's resources? Empress, Immortal Monarch, Heavenly Eye Vision King, Heavenly Sovereign King, Heavenly Dragon Lady, Heavenly Force King. A few people's voices were trembling. What kind of ghost was this? There were more than 10 unmatched seeds hibernating in the Emperor Star's most powerful Tao Cave, and there were also over 100 in the outer regions now. A total of 6 unmatched war gods directly stepped out from the core regions to participate in the great war of immortals and devils. These people were glorious legends. Every single one of them had won at least 4 or 5 great wars. Heavenly Tao King, Heavenly Martial King, Heavenly Sky King, Tenrai of Beach. There were even more people who roared. These 4 were also unmatched, heavenly geniuses of the present world. Every single one of them was a glorious and glorious individual. The Phoenix King and Old Monkey's expressions became ugly. Thunder Immortal Elder, who had always advocated avoiding the Dark World's excessively powerful edge, directly became the pro-war faction. He secretly opened the Tao Cave and awakened the 6 slumbering, unmatched overlords. Heavenly Monkey King, what do you think? The Phoenix King was a bit annoyed. He didn't say anything about these people. Only the Tenrai of Beach remained. What else is there to say? Since Thunder Immortal Elder dotes on his son and feels that the Tenrai of Beach is already unmatched under the heavens, then let's completely shed all pretense of cordiality. The Heavenly Monkey King's voice was gloomy. Let Su Yin and the Tenrai of Beach compete. As for who is stronger and who is weaker, we'll know with a single look. Was there anything unexpected about this? Su Yin stepped onto the peak of the first mountain and obtained great fortunes and opportunities that even Empress and the others couldn't obtain. Suddenly, the Tenrai of Beach could stand shoulder to shoulder with Empress and Su Yin. There were still some areas where there was a huge disparity between him and Su Yin. It's the beginning of the month. Brothers, please vote for me. Chapter 1949. After opening the sealed stone hall, Su Yin felt a little tired. His hair was messy, and he walked out with a frown. After 2 days and 2 nights, Su Yin felt that his body had been hollowed out, and he felt a little weak. Songguo had been guarding outside the door. Seeing Su Yan's absent-minded appearance, he immediately comforted him. It's only been 2 days. The supreme fighting dragon technique isn't that easy to cultivate. Brother Su Yan, I think you should quickly accumulate points. Next time you come, you must exchange for more time. Songwo was also very clear that the supreme fighting dragon technique required 100,000 points a day to cultivate. This was not a small number. However, the supreme inheritance was extremely precious. It was a supreme inheritance that couldn't be bought with money, so 100,000 points was naturally not considered expensive. Of course, he was afraid that it would be wasted. Songwa had seen a lot of people in the past who had accumulated a huge amount of points but couldn't cultivate the supreme inheritance and wasted them. This also proved that it was extremely difficult for ordinary people to master this secret technique. Oh, Suyin came back to his senses. He scratched his head and smiled bitterly. I didn't expect the 3rd level to be so difficult to cultivate. After pondering for so long, I still have no clue. I've troubled Brother Songwa. What did you say? Songwa was stunned. The 3rd level? What 3rd level? Could it be that he had already mastered the first 2 levels? Songwa looked as if he had seen a ghost. Su Yin, who had a lot on his mind, didn't notice that the 3rd level's difficulty had exceeded Su Yan's expectations. After racking his brain for an entire day, he still hadn't made much progress. He felt that after stepping into the Emperor realm, it was relatively easier to grasp the 3rd level. However, once he cultivated the 3rd level, it would be of great help to Su Yan. He wouldn't give up so easily. Su Yan, have you cultivated the first 2 levels? Songwa asked again. Yes, the first 2 levels are relatively easy, but the 3rd level is too difficult. Su Yan frowned and said, as expected of a supreme technique. This body technique is really tyrannical. Once mastered, it's amazing. At this point, Su Yan's words revealed his excitement. This made Songwa's eyes widen, and he was a little dazed. What was going on? What did he mean by relatively easy? You're making the heavenly power king and the others suffer. To be honest, Songwa didn't really believe it. But he was still a young man that even a chaos immortal elder thought highly of. Thus, he led Su Yan out of the training hall. You're finally out. Tai Baokai was waiting in the technique inheritance hall. The Tiangang king had also arrived. Both of their expressions were somewhat abnormal. What's wrong? Su Yan frowned. He walked over and asked, what are you doing here? By the way, has the ranking been decided yet? Bao Cai's face darkened, and he said angrily, don't mention it. The list has been decided, but you're not on it. Not even Barbarian God's brother is on it. What did you say? The God of Berserkers and I aren't on the list? Su Yan's expression darkened. They had agreed that those who ascended the first mountain would be given 3 spots to participate in the battle, but neither he nor the Barbarian God had managed to get a spot. Could it be that the Tenrai of Beach had gotten one? Brother Su, the Tenrai of Beach has gotten a spot. The Tiangang King's side. He felt that Su Yan was very strong and had a chance of winning the Great War of Immortals and Demons. However, he couldn't figure out why the Tenrai of Beach had gotten a spot when even Su Yan, who dominated the first place, couldn't get a spot. This matter had also caused a stir in the Immortal Cave. No one dared to question the princess and the others' participation in the battle, but Su Yan was the expert who dominated the first mountain. Now, the new ranking had made it seem like Su Yan was inferior to the Tenrai of Beach. If news of this got out, the world would question the value of the first mountain. I reckon that Su Yan isn't willing to participate in the Great War of Immortals and Demons. Think about it. He's from a human world, after all. He can't risk his life for the immortal world. Someone's words were cold and unpleasant. Otherwise, why wouldn't Su Yan get the treatment of a pinnacle hero? I heard that he rejected it, but I really don't believe that he would be willing to reject such a temptation. These words caused quite a commotion. Some felt that it made sense, but others said in a low voice, I don't think so. Most of you don't know that Su Yan severely injured the demonic feather with one punch. At the first mountain, he rejected becoming a disciple of the Immortal Cave in front of everyone, but strongly requested to participate in the Great War of Immortals and Demons. I've heard about this too. Another person stood out and said, this Great War of Immortals and Demons is no small matter. The princess and the others are destined to come out of seclusion. A total of 6 invincible and glorious pinnacle overlords. It's clear that the immortal Elder Academy values this great war of immortals and demons. They have a belief of winning all 10 battles. The dark world is being overbearing. Our immortal world will definitely give them a powerful counterattack. Another purple-clothed man stood out and coldly shouted, "Suyin is powerful, but after all, he came from a barren land in the lower realms. He doesn't have much of foundation. Our immortal cave has a matchless great divine ability. Any one of them can shock the heavens and earth and make ghosts and deities weep, but they are also extremely difficult to cultivate." Suyin wants to grasp this type of divine ability in a short period of time, but the Tenrai of Beach is different. That's right. I heard that Suyin already went to cultivate the Supreme Dragon wrestling technique. However, he only exchanged for 2 days. Someone sneered. 2 days? This child is truly arrogant enough. It seems like he really hasn't seen a matchless divine ability. It seems like the immortal Elder Academy's choice was correct. A group of cultivators in the gathering shook their heads. Since the immortal Elder Academy brought out such a powerful foundation this time, they definitely wouldn't allow any failure factors to exist. Hurry and look, that's Suyin. At this moment, the expressions of the disciples gathered in the core region were brilliant. The Empress and the others were about to come out of seclusion, raising a heaven-overflowing storm. A large group of Ingjie from the immortal cave walked out of the mountain gate. This was the first time they saw the true appearance of this generation's heavens equal sage king, who dominated the first mountain. Several dozen young geniuses gathered together. Most of them were watching coldly from the sidelines. There were also some who felt pity for Suyin. After all, this was the best opportunity for him to make a name for himself. One had to bear in mind that once the ranking was set, they might not necessarily participate in the battle. Over the years, once the immortal cave set the ranking of the 10 great war gods, this was a layer of gold that couldn't be ignored for Suyin. The Sky Dipper King lowered his head slightly. The matter of him following Suyin had caused quite a stir in the core region. There were some familiar faces in the group of people who were paying attention to them. The Sky Dipper King felt like he couldn't raise his head high. "Sky Dipper King, you're going to leave without saying goodbye?" A purple-clothed man walked over with his hands behind his back. His divine might was boundless. A rain of purple light scattered down from his body, illuminating an expanse of black mountains and rivers. It was grand and spectacular. "King of Tianshan, I still have urgent matters to attend to." The Sky Dipper King's blood was boiling. Suyin was going to find the Tenrai of Beach, directly going to fight head-on. Once the two great heroes clashed, it would be a great matter that would shake up the entire Immortal Cave. Who was stronger and who was weaker, it would be clear soon. After all, Immortal Elder Academy had just set the ranking. Suyin was going to challenge the Tenrai of Beach. Wasn't this clearly declaring that he had completely shed all pretense of cordiality with Thunder Immortal Elder? It was even challenging Immortal Elder Academy's authority. What urgent matters could you possibly have? A hint of mockery flashed past the depths of the Sky Dipper King's eyes. His figure was tall and straight, a group of mountains vaguely appearing behind him. Great peaks rumbled, bringing with them tremendous divine might as they swept over, covering this region. He coldly shouted, "Traitor, what did you say?" The Sky Dipper King's expression changed in anger, his eyes widening, his chest rising and falling intensely. This Sky Dipper King had some friendly relations with him, but he never expected this person to use such unpleasant words to humiliate him. Why is there a need to get angry? I am merely stating a fact. The Sky Dipper King's expression was cold, saying with mockery, "As the pride of heaven of a mortal world, as immortal caves Ingjie, you actually follow someone from the lower realm. You really can win glory for immortal world." It was to the extent where the Sky Dipper King also blocked Suyin's path, similarly not giving him a look. He looked down slightly at the Sky Dipper King, saying with a sneer, "I think you can cancel your title of king of this world. I suggest you leave Immortal Cave as soon as possible. We don't raise idle people here." These words were actually for Suyin to hear. "Get out of my way, dog." Suyin's expression was cold. In order to suppress him, Thunder Immortal Elder really used all kinds of methods, such as summoning the princess and the others to naturally take away Su Yan's spot. However, if they were all heroes like the Sky Dipper King and the others, Su Yan wouldn't say a word. However, on the top 10 list, only the Tenrai of Beach didn't participate in any Immortal Demon War. How could he replace his spot? The Sky Dipper King's expression changed in anger, his eyes shooting out flames. He pointed at Su Yan and yelled, "Who are you talking about? Get out!" Su Yan yelled angrily. With a ball of fire in his heart, he raised his hand and slapped at the Sky Dipper King. The Sky Dipper King laughed excitedly. The Sky Dipper King was digging his own grave. "Bastard, Su Yan, you are too arrogant." The Sky Dipper King rose from the ground. Black mountains appeared behind him, filled with suffocating pressure. There were millions of mountains rumbling, and the momentum was vast. Su Yan, he's too arrogant. He directly attacked the Sky Dipper King. Does he really think he can defeat everyone in the Immortal Cave? A group of people shouted, cheering for the Sky Dipper King. This is the Heaven and Earth Heaven Seal, a first-class divine power of the Immortal Cave. The Sky Dipper King was different. He had set his sights on the path of body cultivation and had walked all the way. It was a pity that he hadn't mastered a supreme technique. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been defeated by Su Yan. Suppress. The Sky Dipper King roared. He instantly unleashed his strongest combat power. Millions of black mountains lined up in the sky, filling heaven and earth. At this moment, he was as cold as the Overlord of heaven and earth. He controlled the great Tao of heaven and earth. He was like a peerless emperor, emitting a terrifying tide. Boom! The millions of mountains resonated, and their power was extremely strong. With a majestic might that could deter the world, they pressed down on Su Yan from all directions. Boom! Su Yan's flesh shell was golden and blazing. His dormant chi and blood spread out. A dragon's roar resounded in his flesh and blood, causing his chi and blood to churn. Su Yan's black hair danced in the wind. He was like a peerless war god who had broken the shackles. Blood soared into the sky. What? Supreme Dragon Wrestling Technique. The expressions of the dozens of geniuses in the core area changed drastically. Their eyes were stinging. Su Yan's golden body was too dazzling. The moment it was awakened, 100,000 tsunamis rushed out through his pores, instantly shaking heaven and earth. Oh my God, the saints trembled. They felt a great divine might that filled every inch of space and time, filled with endless power. Many people couldn't believe it. This was the Supreme Dragon Wrestling Technique, and it was the second level of the Killing Divine Art. Once it exploded, the golden tsunamis reached the sky, collapsing the heaven and earth heavenwind seal. These people's faces stiffened, and they couldn't say a word. How long had he cultivated it? Boom! Su Yan's aura swallowed the starry sky. He was like a divine, devil, heavenly venerable pouncing on the universe. The golden tsunamis rushed out of his pores like endless burning suns. They could easily destroy heaven and earth. The king of Tianshan screamed and spat out blood. His body was bombarded by endless power again. This was power that could kill a true dragon. His skin and flesh were lacerated, and he was about to shatter. How dare a piece of trash like you attack me? Get lost. Su Yan's black hair danced in the wind. The golden tsunamis in his body surged violently. They were so terrifying that the heavens and the starry sky trembled. No! The king of Tianshan wailed. He was about to be crushed by Su Yan's roar and turn into bloodlight. His eyes were filled with fear. This was a peerless expert. His divine might couldn't be blasphemed. Anyone who touched him would die. Everyone was stunned. What kind of monster was this? The king of Tianshan, who was severely injured, was torn apart by the roar. How could he survive? Tenrai of Beach, get out here. Su Yan dominated the sky. A golden heavenly dragon rushed out from the top of his head. It was 100,000 feet long and roared in the starry sky. The hidden dragons and crouching tigers in the distance rumbled and shook. It pounced on the Tenrai of Beach.